Chapter 137. Bulu and the others ran away. What a joke! Lin Feng did not even reveal his martial soul or soul ring, but he managed to lightly injure a soul king with one move. Although Tianya wanted to take revenge for the other two, he was not stupid. Facing such an expert, they had no other way to survive other than running. However, what they did not notice was that a very ordinary-looking passerby had followed them. That's right, this passerby was one of Lin Feng's clones. He was not very strong, but it was enough to kill these three people. Lin Feng was multitasking. His clones followed them to kill them, while his main body healed everyone's injuries. Feng Go is really strong. He managed to chase these guys away the moment he attacked. Ma Hongjun was not injured, so he was the first to flatter him. During these few months of training, Ma Hongjun was the one who wanted to slack off the most. Now, he still wanted to say some nice words to see if he could avoid punishment. Lin Feng glanced at him. Don't think that you won't be punished just because you flatter me. You guys will definitely run the 10 laps tonight. It's useless even if a master comes. I said it. Oh. Ma Hongjuan's eyes dimmed. The others were much more aware, and no one said anything. Xiao Wu was even more optimistic. Feng Gu, we'll talk about punishment later. Didn't you say that you would treat us to delicious food when we came? I'll wait. Yes. It's been a long time since we came to Soto City. We'll talk about it after we eat and drink well today. Ning Rongrong echoed. Let's go and eat something delicious. Lin Feng remembered that he did not say that he would treat them. However, these were all small problems. He had money, so he could be willful. Half an hour later, a group of people were eating happily on the food street of Soto City. On the other side, Lin Feng's clones followed Bulu and the others to a house. Bulu, Old Goose, the two of you stay here first. I'll find a healing-type soul master to treat your injuries. We, the three swordsmen, must take revenge for this. Although Lin Feng was very terrifying and made Tianya feel despair, the remaining people were not that strong. The few of them had already made up their minds. When the time came, they would inquire about their origins and kill as many as they could. After that, they would run away. Although Tang San and the others were just young children, the three of them already had the intention to kill. Yes, we must take revenge for this, Bulu said fiercely. This was the first time they, the three swordsmen, had suffered such a huge loss. At this moment, a figure quietly appeared behind Tianya. There was not the slightest sound because he slowly floated in with a slender longsword in his hand. Be careful! Bulu saw it and shouted to remind him. However, he was still too slow. Half of the long sword pierced through Tianya's heart. He tried his best to turn his head around and realized that the person who killed him was actually Bulu. Hee, you didn't expect this, did you? Bulu chuckled. He pulled out his long sword and instantly stabbed it towards the blind goose at the side. This Bulu was Lin Feng's evil hobby. He had transformed this clone into Buli's appearance. At this moment, he first launched a sneak attack and killed Tianya with a single sword strike. Then, he continued to stab towards the blind goose at the side. As expected, this blind goose was in a panic and could not block this sword strike at all. He followed in Tianya's footstep. At this moment, in front of Lin Feng, only Bulu, who was paralyzed on the bed, was left. Who are you? Bulu asked in a trembling voice. He knew that he was dead for sure today. This soul master had come with the intention to kill him. However, he did not want to die without knowing why. Why would such a powerful soul master appear to kill them? He really wanted to know. Go and ask the King of Hell. Lin Feng was too lazy to answer and killed Bulu with a single sword strike. Lin Feng found some strange-shaped tokens on the three corpses in front of him, a total of more than 1,000 gold coins, and some miscellaneous items from their bodies. Lin Feng looked at the tokens for a while, and roughly knew their origins. They should be tokens that represented the identity of a family. They were all small families. Lin Feng did not take them and threw them away. There was nothing useful in the miscellaneous items. The main thing was that the 1,000 gold coins were not a bad harvest. With a smile, the clone left the house. Actually, Lin Feng suddenly thought of something. There were actually 3 ways to cultivate a soul master. The first way was to meditate and cultivate. This was the most stable and solid method, but its weakness was that it was slow. The second way was to inherit energy. Soul rings, soul bones, and even other people's soul power could be inherited. This was also the reason why Lin Feng often increased 2 or 3 ranks when he broke through. It was because the soul rings he absorbed were old and contained a lot of energy that he was able to increase so many ranks in one go. Ordinary soul masters would only increase by 1 rank. Some who absorbed weak soul rings would not even increase by 1 rank. Right, although other people's soul power could be inherited, it could not be inherited casually. They had very harsh conditions. Just like how soul masters had to choose soul beasts of similar attributes to hunt, inheriting other people's soul power also required a similar martial soul. Of course, there was also a very unexpected situation. That was when a soul beast was willing to sacrifice its own life to become a soul master's soul ring. However, this kind of situation was too rare. It could even be said that it was rarer than a 100,000-year soul ring. The third way, in essence, was still to inherit energy. However, it was not someone who took the initiative to give it to you, but you took the initiative to plunder it. And people who did this kind of thing were called evil soul masters. It was also because the situation of Bulo and the other 2 was a little evil that Lin Feng suddenly thought of these things. In fact, evil soul masters were very rare. Just like those murderers in his previous life. Other than those countries that were more chaotic, such as free countries, there were very few evil soul masters in other places. Overall, the Heaven Do Empire was still considered peaceful. Lin Feng had never met an evil soul master until now, or perhaps he had met one, but he had not discovered it. Of course, a large part of the reason was that the inland was more stable. There were very few evil soul masters. Most of them were in the coastal cities because it was more chaotic and the scenery was more beautiful. Lin Feng did not think too much about these problems. At this moment, on the snack street, Lin Feng was eating a big bowl of noodles that he liked to eat. Listening to the familiar shouts on the street, he was very satisfied. The others were also eating at the side, praising the delicious noodles. Only Zhu Zhuqing's expression was a little strange. This place reminded her of the first time she met Lin Feng. Speaking of which, after spending some time together, Zhu Zhuqing felt that the world was really strange. At first, she thought that Lin Feng was just a hooligan. She did not expect that he would become her classmate later on, and then almost become half a teacher. They had learned too many things from Lin Feng. This kind of experience of changing identities was really magical. There were also these peers around her. Zhu Zhuqing felt that everything was developing in a good direction. Chapter 138. 7 days of rest was not long, and it passed quickly. In these 7 days, it was said to be a rest, but in fact, everyone still maintained a certain level of training. After all, after so long, training really became a habit, just like Lin Feng's current habit of multitasking. This morning, the master asked everyone to gather on the field, and Lin Feng also came. Starting today, you will enter the second stage. This stage is very difficult and also very simple. To sum it up, it can be summed up in 2 words: soul battle. In the second stage, all your training will be carried out in the Soto arena. After training for 3 months, it was time to test the result. And there was another very important reason: the academy was running out of money. Every meal cooked by the master was big fish and meat, and the funds were not enough. And the Great Soul Arena was a treasure bowl. With everyone's strength, they could easily win and earn gold coins. At that time, they could support themselves. In this way, the academy would save a lot of expenses, and they could also improve their actual combat experience. It was really a good result of killing many birds with one stone. And the master also had an idea that was to accept advertising sponsorship. As long as the 7 of them made a name for themselves, they could casually accept some advertisements, and it would be enough for them to make money. The master paused and continued. Your task is very simple, that is, everyone will get the silver Dolua badge in the Great Soul Arena, including individual, duo, and team. This will last for a long time, I hope you can all persevere. Although you've fought against each other many times over the past 3 months, and you've even fought against Lin Feng, the number of soul cultivators you've faced is simply too few. There's a limit to what you can do. You need to face more soul cultivators and use different tactics. Only then can you improve quickly. This point, not only Tang San and the others needed to pay attention to, but Lin Feng was also the same. After 3 months, Lin Feng was now very proficient in multitasking. If it was multitasking, it was actually okay, but it was barely enough. At this time, it was time for Lin Feng to train his combat experience. This could also train his multitasking ability. All of you, including Ning Rongrong and Oscar, must obtain this silver battle soul emblem. Since you are auxiliary-type soul masters, each of you can form a team with someone else. It just so happens that the 2 of you can decide on your respective pairs first. After that, I'll arrange the next step. Speaking of combinations, the atmosphere suddenly became lively. Xiao Wu immediately said, Master, third brother and I have already formed a group. It's called the 3 Dance Group. Oscar also said, I'll team up with Boss Dai. With the support of my sausage, Boss Dai can take on 2 people without a problem. Originally, Dai Mubai was supposed to team up with Ma Hongjun. However, the combination of the 2 was too weak. Although Ma Hongjun was an assault-type soul master, his soul skills were not suitable for Dai Mubai to fight together. In addition to the difference in soul power ranks, Dai Mubai and Oscar formed a team. Ma Hongjun was ruthlessly abandoned. He could only look at Ning Rongrong. Rongrong, you can only team up with your 4th brother. Zhu Zhuqing and Lin Feng had already formed a team. Ma Hongjun could only find Ning Rongrong. Furthermore, both of them were soul grandmasters. One was an assault-type soul master and the other was an auxiliary-type soul master. They were very compatible. However, Ning Rongrong said, I'm not going to team up with you. I'm going to team up with Feng Ge. We've already agreed on this, right, Feng Ge? Lin Feng nodded. We've already agreed on this. 3 months ago, Ning Rongrong talked to him about this. At that time, he agreed. During this period of time, wasn't the master's devil training? These days, they were all tired to death every day. They also had to spend time meditating. They had no time to go to the Great Soul Arena. Therefore, Ning Rongrong had never mentioned this matter. Didn't Feng Ge team up with Takeshi? Why are you teaming up with Feng Ge again? Ma Hongjun, like Watson, found a blind spot. Zhu Zhuqing also frowned slightly, but didn't say anything. This is very simple. Feng Ge just needs to register another badge. Anyway, the Great Soul Arena's badge is not limited to 1 registration. As long as you pay, you can register as many as you want. It's just that the points won't be interchangeable. Ning Rongrong quickly explained. Yes, this is feasible. The master nodded. I know that you have registered once in the Great Soul Arena, but this time, because a 12-year-old soul master is too eye-catching, you all need to register a new badge. Use a code name and a mask to cover yourself. The previous badge will be discarded directly. Hearing this, everyone nodded. There was no problem in re-registering. Anyway, they didn't have many points with the previous badge. It was good to start over. Master, everyone else has a group, but Feng Ge has 2 groups. What should I do? After Ma Hongjun finished speaking, he also looked at Lin Feng. Feng Ge, how about I also team up with you? You can register 3 badges directly, and the 3 of us will form 3 groups with you. Everyone. The master pondered for a moment and then said, "This feels good. Lin Feng is strong enough. If he uses 3 different code names when registering, it can also create a confusing effect." Hearing this, Ning Rongrong's eyes lit up. "That's it. That's good." I raise both hands in favor. Ma Hongjun was also very happy. His suggestion was actually accepted by the master. This was the first time. Lin Feng, on the other hand, was stunned for a long time before nodding and saying, "Okay." Anyway, the main purpose was to increase actual combat experience. At worst, he could do 3 things at once. The other 2 doppelgangers would fight to increase experience, and the main body would just play casually. Yeah. That's great. Ma Hongjun jumped up happily. Being together with Feng Go, what did this mean? It meant that they were riding on his coattails, and the duo's silver battle soul was in the bag. The corners of Zhu Zhuqing's mouth curled up slightly, but he quickly returned to calmness. Ning Rongrong also said happily, "Feng Gu, I've already thought of the name of our group. Your immeasurable flower and my 7 treasures glazed pagoda will each take the last word, and we'll call it the Flower Pagoda Combination. What do you think?" Before Lin Feng could answer, Ma Hongjun also shouted, "Then my group with Feng Gu will be called Flower Phoenix." "Hey! No, that's too girly. How about we call ourselves the Wu Xie Combination, and each take the first name of the martial soul?" Wu Xie Combination, this is a good name. Don't you think so, Feng Gu? Ma Hongjun looked expectant. Zhu Zhuqing wanted to say a few words, but he stopped and was ready to wait for Lin Feng to answer their questions first. However, on the side, Tang San and Xiao Wu's expressions were slightly strange. They had a deep understanding of Feng Ji's naming skills, especially their previous code names, such as Illusion, Scarlet, Black Tiger, Afu, and so on, as well as the previous combination with Zhu Zhuqing. One Punch Man. Oh right, there were also the various names of the moves that came out of Feng Ji's mouth in the past, which were really memorable. Now, these 2 combination names were really too common, and they didn't match Feng Ji's temperament. Tang San guessed that Feng Gu would definitely name it himself. At the same time, he and Xiao Wu were also very much looking forward to what kind of names Lin Feng would come up with. Both of them guessed correctly. At this time, Lin Feng also felt that what kind of combination names were these? Their naming skills were really bad, and they were on the same level as Xiao Wu and Xiao San. Even this wouldn't work, he had to name it himself. Chapter 139. This combination name won't do. Lin Feng first vetoed, then thought about it and said, "Rongrong's combination name will be Wonder Woman. That way you'll seem more magical. How about it? Not bad, right?" "Wonder Woman? That's a good name. I'm magical," Ning Rongrong muttered, then realized, "But there's only me. Your name isn't on it." "It's okay." Lin Feng didn't care about this at all, as long as the name sounded good. At the side, Ma Hongjun shivered. "Feng Gu, then our combination name will be Wonder Man?" Lin Feng was speechless. He quickly said, "My combination with you will be called the Black Tiger Combination." "Why? My martial soul is a phoenix, yours is a flower. What does it have to do with a tiger?" Ma Hongjun was puzzled. The others also didn't understand why it was called the Black Tiger Combination. Only Tang San and Xiao Wu knew what the name meant. At this time, Lin Feng said, "The reason is very simple. When I plan to combine with you, my code name will be Black Tiger Afu, so the combination will be called the Black Tiger Combination." Ma Hongjun, ignoring Ma Hongjun who suddenly became autistic, Lin Feng continued, "The combination with Takechi can't be called One Punch Man. Then let's call it One Punch Ghost." Zhu Zhuqing, ahem. Master was obviously shocked by these combination names. He coughed twice before speaking. "The few of you will give yourselves a code name. For the next period of time, you will use this code name to fight. If you can't think of one, I can help you." "Teacher, help me." Tang San was the first to respond. Tang San was also aware of his own naming abilities. He was even worse than Brother Feng, so he might as well ask the master to help him come up with a name. Master, I also want you to help me, Xiao Wu also said. Master, I also, for a time, except for Lin Feng, all of them asked the master to help them. Lin Feng glanced at Xiao Wu and Tang San and sighed. Aren't Illusion and Crimson good? What a domineering name. Not good. Both of them shook their heads. Lin Feng was speechless. At this moment, the master quickly said with a smile, Mu Bai will be called the demonic white tiger, Xiao San will be called the thousand arms Azura, Xiao Wu will be called the soft bone demon rabbit, Rong Rong will be called the seven treasures colored glass, Take Chi will be called the netherworld civet, Hong Jun will be called the demonic fire phoenix, and Xiao Ao will be called the sausage monopoly. As he spoke, the master seemed to be addicted to naming. He asked Lin Feng, Are you sure you don't want me to name it for you? Although you want 3 codenames, I feel that I can still come up with them. Forget it. Lin Feng waved his hand. I've already thought about it. When I team up with Rongrong, I'll be called Yasuo. When I team up with Fatty, I'll be called Black Tiger Afu. When I team up with Take Chi, I'll be called Fahai. In the end, Lin Feng added, If you team up, I'll use the codename Black Tiger Afu to join you. At the same time, this will also be my main codename. However, I won't make a move in the team. I'll just be a substitute in your team. Hearing this, the master seemed to be afraid that Lin Feng would also name this team. He hurriedly said, Since Xiao Feng is just a name and won't make a move, the name of your team will be Shrek's 7 Monsters. Shrek's 7 Monsters, a good name. Their eyes lit up. At this moment, the Grand Master took out 8 masks from his soul tool. I've made a mask for each of you. Put it on. Remember this. In the future, when you're in the soul dueling arena, you must speak less and don't expose your identities. The 7 of them took the mask. Lin Feng didn't take it. Instead, he said, Master, you only have 1 mask and it's so ugly. I don't want it. I'll make 3 of them myself. Master. Everyone. The master was speechless because Lin Feng said that his mask wasn't made well. Everyone was speechless because Lin Feng said that the master's mask was ugly, and they had taken it. At this moment, they couldn't put it back or wear it. It was very uncomfortable. Fortunately, the master was a respectable person and had a thick face. He quickly put away the masks and changed the topic. Let's go. We'll go to Soto City to register first. Let's start the battle today. My request is very simple. You guys have to fight at least 2 battles a day. One of them must be a team battle, and the other battle can be a solo battle or a duo battle. If you're full of energy, I have no objections to 3 battles a day. When the time comes, you guys can stay in Soto City. You'll be responsible for all your expenses. After all, the benefits of winning a soul dueling arena are very considerable. Just like that, the master led a group of people to the soul dueling arena. During this period, Lin Feng left for a while. On the surface, he said that he was going to make his own mask, but in fact, he went to the street to eat a few snacks. Just like that, when Lin Feng appeared in front of the gate of the soul dueling arena with the Black Tiger Ah Fu mask, Tang San and the others had already started the registration. At this time, Tang San, after painstaking research and unremitting guidance from Lin Feng, had a very high degree of control over his soul power. He clearly had a soul power of rank 38, but just based on his own control, under the detection of the soul dueling arena's apparatus, Tang San was only rank 33. Just like that, Tang San's group of 7 quickly completed the registration. And Lin Feng attracted the attention of the staff, because he wanted to register 3 emblems at once. Of course, this kind of attention was not because they were curious about Lin Feng's strength or anything, but because they were very surprised by his foolish behavior. It costs 100 gold coins to register once, But this time he registered 3 times, and 300 gold coins were gone. If he wasn't a fool, what was he? Lin Feng didn't care about the gazes of these people. He took his 3 emblems and walked into the soul dueling arena. My 3 emblems are here, take them to register a group. Remember the group name and don't get it wrong. Lin Feng threw the 3 emblems to Zhu Zhuqing and the others. Okay, Feng go. They responded and immediately went to register a group. The master didn't follow them in, so in this soul dueling arena, everyone had to listen to Lin Feng. 5 minutes later, in the lounge, Lin Feng held a small meeting. Today is the first day, so except for the 2 support-type soul masters, Ning Rongrong and Oscar, everyone else has to fight 3 battles. Let's start the matches now, and when everyone is done, the 7 of you can fight in the team mode. The rules of the soul dueling arena were very simple. Victory would add points, failure would deduct points, and winning streak points would increase rapidly. And the points for single or double battles and team battles were independent of each other, which could be understood as the difference between single or double battles and flexible teams. Just like that, after explaining, everyone began to choose single matches. At the same time, Lin Feng's doppelganger Saul and doppelganger Tony were also participating in the matches in other arenas. Chapter 140. Single soul battle was a test of one's own strength. After 3 months of devil training, everyone was a little itchy. Previously, they were fighting in a team with Bulo and the others, so they couldn't test anything. Now that they were challenging soul masters of the same level, everyone could clearly understand how strong they were. Except for Oscar and Ning Rongrong, who didn't have the ability to fight alone, the other 6 people had a soul battle. They were all in arena number 8. Everyone could see every battle. As long as there was a small flaw in the battle, they would be teased when they returned to the lounge. The training effect was very good. Everyone won, except for Fatty, who almost lost. He met a level 30 soul master and won with some difficulty, causing everyone to laugh at him. At this time, Lin Feng was chatting with everyone on the surface, but in fact, in the other 2 arenas, Lin Feng's clones were having a soul battle. Multitasking, it was terrifying. Okay, everyone's performance in the single soul battle is not bad. Next, let's start the duo soul battle. Let's start matching. I want to be the first. As soon as Lin Feng finished speaking, Ning Rongrong was the first to take the badge to match. Zhu Zhuqing and Ma Hongjun looked at each other and followed. This scene also made Xiao Wu tease that Lin Feng was a hot commodity. I can't help it. I'm just handsome. Handsome people are popular everywhere. Lin Feng spread his hands helplessly. Feng Go is really shameless. Xiao Wu smiled and stuck out her tongue. After a while, everyone's combinations were matched. It had to be said that the matching mechanism of the Great Soul Arena was quite good. Because they had registered a large team, they wouldn't be opponents when they were matched. Moreover, there were many staggered mechanisms to prevent several soul masters who knew each other from fighting together. Did you think that the original intention of this function was to prevent soul masters who knew each other from fighting together accidentally? Not at all. This mechanism was mainly made to prevent soul masters from farming points and winning streaks. Because of the existence of this mechanism, the practice of farming points in the Great Soul Arena rarely appeared, but even so, the practice of farming points still existed. It was just that it was more difficult to do. Those who wanted to earn points usually had to pay a high price. Of course, Lin Feng and the others didn't care about these functions. They were just chatting as they waited for the first soul battle to begin. Not long after, someone came over to inform them that Wonder Woman was ready to go on stage. Feng Go. It's our turn, quick. Ning Rongrong said happily, I'll give you a buff later. You can rush up and beat them up with a few punches and kicks. This was Ning Rongrong's first time experiencing the feeling of a soul battle. Just thinking about standing in the middle of the field and being surrounded by cheers made her happy. No, no, no. Lin Feng shook his head. Then he said, I'll give you a buff later. You can rush up and beat them up with a few punches and kicks. Me? Ning Rongrong was taken aback and then said, Feng Gu, you don't have any buff skills, right? Do you want me to go up and get beaten up? Don't worry about it later. If I say you can beat them up, then you definitely can. Lin Feng kept her in suspense and didn't say anything in advance. In this way, Ning Rongrong, with doubts in her heart, came to the Great Soul Arena with Lin Feng. After a casual glance at the audience, Lin Feng found Grandmaster, Flanders, and Zhao Wuji. These guys were really sly. They said before that they wouldn't come in today, but they sneaked into the audience to observe them. Especially Flanders and Zhao Wuji. When Lin Feng practiced doppelganger control in the academy, he often saw these two guys peeping at Tang San and the others from the side of the field. However, Lin Feng also understood their feelings. After all, they were the students they taught. After training for so long, they also wanted to see the results as teachers. Wonder Woman is a newly created group. So far, they have 0 records in a 2-on-2 soul battle. After taking a look at their opponents, I feel sorry for Wonder Woman, because they are facing the Star-Moon combo, who has already won 4 consecutive matches in a 2-on-2 soul battle. Let's welcome them. The Star-Moon combo was obviously very famous. As soon as the host called out their name, the audience at the scene offered warm cheers. At this time, Lin Feng saw a man and a woman appear on the opposite side of the ring. The man was tall and strong, and the woman was also very sturdy. These two were obviously the Star-Moon combo mentioned by the host. After coming out, the two of them waved their hands around, responding to the enthusiasm of the audience. At this time, the host continued, the Star-Moon combo has already won 4 matches in a row. If they can defeat the Wonder Woman combo, then they will complete a 5-match winning streak and qualify to enter the central main soul battle area. No soul master who could enter the main soul battle area was weak. At the same time, it was also a kind of glory for the Great Soul Battle Arena. Both of the Star-Moon combo's members were not very old. They looked to be in their 20s. In terms of soul power, Lin Feng saw through them at a glance. The man was rank 39 and the woman was rank 38. He had to say that to have such a high rank at this age, they could be considered geniuses. 4 consecutive victories could be considered a record that they should have. If there were no accidents, a 5-match winning streak would be easy. However, it was a pity that they encountered him. Feng Gu, can you do it? Don't let me get beaten up when the time comes. It's very painful. Ning Rongrong whispered with a guilty conscience. She really didn't understand how Lin Feng was going to enhance her later. She remembered very clearly that Lin Feng's first soul skill was very strong. It could recover injuries, physical strength, soul power, detoxify, and remove some negative states. Anyway, there were so many functions that Ning Rongrong was so jealous that she changed shape. And his second soul skill was a control-type soul skill? As for his third soul skill, it was the same as Dai Mubai's, a body-enhancing soul skill. To be honest, everyone was very confused about Feng Ji's second and third soul skills. Were these soul skills that an auxiliary-type martial soul should have? However, they got an explanation from the master. Lin Feng's martial soul was a special variant martial soul. It was a martial soul that was even more special than a variant martial soul. It couldn't be considered a plant-type martial soul. It had all the possibilities. But even if it was special, Lin Feng had a total of 3 soul skills, and none of them could enhance others. Could he make a soul skill appear out of thin air? While Ning Rongrong was thinking about this, Lin Feng's face was full of question marks. Why can't I? Of course I can. How can a man say he can't? I'll let you know what true strength is in a moment. I hereby announce the start of this soul duel. At this moment, the referee announced the start of the match. Ning Rongrong looked at Lin Feng, waiting for him to enhance her. In response, Lin Feng chuckled. With a wave of his hand, The rainbow immeasurable flower and the black soul ring under his feet disappeared in a flash. Because it was too fast, no one noticed this scene. Even Ning Rongrong, who was close by, didn't react. However, in the next second, a dazzling white light appeared on Lin Feng's body. The light was very bright, and almost everyone could see it. However, just as the light lit up, Lin Feng grabbed at his body with all his strength and pulled the ball of light out. Then, Lin Feng threw it to Ning Rongrong. He shouted, "You've been strengthened. Go." Ning Rongrong. Chapter 141. A ball of white light instantly wrapped around Ning Rongrong's body. In the next second, her entire body grew in size and was filled with power. When the light faded, a layer of pale white light film adhered to her body and formed a battle armor, making her look valiant and formidable. This round of transformation was too dazzling, so everyone saw it. In the lounge, everyone was puzzled. This seems to be Feng Ji's third soul skill. I remember that it increases all attributes by 200%, but isn't it something that only Feng Ge can use? How can it be used on others now? Oscar was more meticulous and remembered Lin Feng's soul skill. Tang San also nodded. Yes, I also remember that Feng Ji's soul skill could only be used on himself. Now, he can actually use it on Rongrong. Could it be that he deliberately hid it? That should be it. Feng Ge really hid it well. At this moment, everyone also remembered that when they first entered the school, Lin Feng had displayed the characteristics of his first soul skill, group healing. At that time, even Tang San and Xiao Wu didn't know about it. They had known each other for many years, but they still didn't know. From this, it could be seen how good Lin Feng was at hiding it. In the audience, Grandmaster also had the same guess. He also felt that Lin Feng had deliberately hidden it before. However, Grandmaster was slightly puzzled. If this soul skill could be used on others, why did Lin Feng use it halfway on himself before forcefully stopping it and using it on Ning Rongrong? It had to be said that Grandmaster was still very observant. Lin Feng's current soul skill couldn't be directly used on others. The reason why he could use it on Ning Rongrong was because Lin Feng had a deep understanding of soul power and soul skills, so he forcefully changed it. Perhaps in the future, as his research deepened, he would be able to add soul skills to others, or even directly change his own soul skills. But for now, Lin Feng could only add soul skills to others like this. Furthermore, because it was added midway, the strength of this soul skill wasn't as strong as when it was added directly to the user. It could only increase Ning Rongrong's strength by about 200%, which was about the same as what he had said before. Feng Ge, what soul skill is that? I feel like my entire body is filled with energy. Don't think about it. Let's deal with these two first. Also, you have to call me Yasuo. Lin Feng pointed behind Ning Rongrong. The two members of the Star-Moon combination were already possessed by their martial souls and were charging straight at them. Star and Moon. Between the two of them, the male was an assault-type soul master. His codename was Star, and his martial soul was a star-patterned tiger. The other female was a control-type soul master. Her codename was Moon, and her martial soul was Moonvine. The two of them cooperated very well, and their target was Lin Feng. This was because in their eyes, Ning Rongrong should be the main attacker, and Lin Feng should be the support-type soul master. In a 2-on-2 situation, it was common sense to first cripple the support-type soul master of the other party. Oh, Yasuo, just you wait. I'll help you beat them. At this moment, her strength had increased greatly, and there was a layer of pale white armor around her. Ning Rongrong only felt that her confidence was bursting. The 7 treasures glazed pagoda appeared, and after adding 2 soul skills to herself, Ning Rongrong attacked the 2 of them. At this moment, Ning Rongrong's physical strength was simply off the charts. With the double enhancement, not to mention a soul elder, even a soul ancestor wouldn't be a match for her. Moon's martial soul was Moonvine, and she was also a control-type soul master. Her attack style was similar to Tang San's. At this moment, her moon vine was still more than 10 meters away from Lin Feng. "You'll have to get past me first." Ning Rongrong reached out and grabbed the vine firmly in her hand. At this moment, Star also unleashed his soul skill and rushed towards Ning Rongrong. He roared loudly, and his second soul skill shone. The moment he got close, he actually let out a deafening tiger's roar. Ning Rongrong was shaken by this sound, and subconsciously covered her ears. At the same time, Star's fist smashed into the light barrier around Ning Rongrong's body. Crack! Crack! This wasn't the sound of Ning Rongrong's light barrier shattering, but the sound of Star's fist breaking. Ning Rongrong, on the other hand, only staggered back a little after being punched, but she quickly stabilized herself. Under Star's shocked gaze, Ning Rongrong gave him a punch. The moment he was hit, Star endured the pain in his hand and activated his first soul skill. This was a defensive-type soul skill similar to Dai Mubai's White Tiger's Shield, but this soul skill was too weak. Ning Rongrong easily shattered it, and the remaining force didn't dissipate as it smashed into Star's shoulder. Bang! With a muffled sound, Star was sent flying. However, his soul skill blocked a portion of the force, and Ning Rongrong's punch didn't injure Star much. At this moment, Moon's second soul skill shone. The moon vines that were released were actually sprouting barbs rapidly. However, Ning Rongrong had a light barrier around her hand, so this move was useless against her. What soul skill is this? It's actually so strong. After realizing that the light barrier was so strong, Moon was clearly shocked. "I'm not telling you." Ning Rongrong chuckled. She grabbed the moon vines and pulled. Caught off guard, Moon actually lost her balance. Taking advantage of this opportunity, Ning Rongrong posed in front of Tang San's lounge. Lin Feng. They clearly had the upper hand. If Chen Xing pursued them now, he could easily defeat the two of them. However, Ning Rongrong actually posed foolishly to give the enemy time to react. How stupid! However, it was her first time in a soul duel. Furthermore, she was fighting as an auxiliary-type soul master, so it wasn't a big deal if she wanted to show off. In the lounge, everyone saw Ning Rongrong's performance. It was really enviable. Feng Ji's soul skill is so strong. Rongrong is already so strong as an auxiliary-type soul master. If it's my turn later, won't I be invincible? Ma Hongjun was happily thinking about how to act cool in the next battle. Dai Mubai, on the other hand, was thinking, Lin Feng's amplification soul skill can be used on others. It would be great if my White Tiger's Vajra transformation could be used on others. However, everyone knew that Dai Mubai was just thinking about it. It would probably only happen in his dreams. Zhu Zhuqing's eyes had a trace of yearning. The feeling of his strength being enhanced and being protected by armor was really amazing. Zhu Zhuqing also wanted to experience it. At this moment, the two members of the Star-Moon combination had found an opportunity to meet up. Their previous strategy was very simple. It was to restrain Ning Rongrong, and the other one to attack Lin Feng. If they were lucky, they would be able to easily defeat him. However, this method was useless now. Ning Rongrong was too strong. They didn't even have the chance to get close to Lin Feng. Now, they could only try and see if the two of them could break Ning Rongrong's tortoise shell. Chapter 142. Haha, take my Wonder Woman's great iron fist. Ning Rongrong's confidence was greatly boosted after defeating the two of them. She was an auxiliary-type soul master, yet she was able to experience the feeling of a battle soul master. This was something that had never happened before. Ning Rongrong didn't panic in the slightest as she faced the follow-up attack from the Star-Moon duo. She relied on her high speed to easily dodge the vines and charge towards the Star-Moon duo. The outcome of the battle had been decided the moment Lin Feng threw his soul skill at Ning Rongrong. The defense of a 10,000-year soul skill was something that even a normal soul king wouldn't be able to break, let alone two soul elders. From the start, Ning Rongrong was in an invincible position. Defeating the Star-Moon duo was only a matter of time. It was clear that Ning Rongrong was addicted to this feeling of power. She didn't use her full strength on the stage and played around with the two of them. In the lounge, everyone was shocked speechless by this scene. Didn't Lin Feng say before that an auxiliary-type soul master who could eliminate all enemies and dangers was a true support? It was clear that Ning Rongrong had demonstrated this point incisively and vividly. Even Grandmaster nodded repeatedly and said to the two people beside him, "I didn't expect this soul skill to last for so long." Grandmaster didn't know how long Lin Feng's soul skill could last because Lin Feng had never mentioned it before. Due to the doubling of all attributes, such a powerful soul skill shouldn't last for too long according to Grandmaster's understanding. At most, it would last for a minute. However, Ning Rongrong had already been playing on the stage for more than 2 minutes. The entire audience was cheering the name Wonder Woman. Grandmaster was astonished that she could last for such a long time. 2 minutes? If Lin Feng knew what Grandmaster was thinking, he would definitely laugh out loud. This was only a soul skill that Lin Feng had casually thrown out. Even so, it could last for at least half an hour. If he had directly placed his hands on Ning Rongrong's body and released it, the effect and duration of this soul skill would have been increased. Wonder Woman, stop playing. Seeing that Ning Rongrong still wanted to play, Lin Feng shouted helplessly. Now, Ning Rongrong felt that her codename was no longer Seven Treasures Colored Glass, but Wonder Woman. Regarding this, Lin Feng casually ridiculed the master's naming skills, which were really bad. "Oh!" Ning Rongrong replied, and her attacks instantly became fierce. 10 seconds later, the two members of Star Moon were completely beaten to the ground. I declare. It was a 2 versus 2 soul battle, and Wonder Woman won. As expected of Wonder Woman, this soul skill is truly miraculous. Let us congratulate them with our warmest cheers. The host's impassioned voice resounded in the soul fighting arena, causing the audience to cheer. "Yasuo, your soul skill is so powerful." After Ning Rongrong won, she first enjoyed the cheers of the audience, then ran to Lin Feng's side and praised him. Lin Feng smiled and didn't say much, but patted her on the shoulder. In the next second, the white light on Ning Rongrong's body disappeared instantly, and the feeling of being full of strength disappeared. That soul skill's glow is very beautiful. I still want to show it in front of everyone later. The momentary feeling of disparity made Ning Rongrong feel a little empty. "Didn't you think I couldn't do it?" Lin Feng raised his eyebrows and teased. "How could I, Feng Go, you're really good." At this time, the two had walked out of the soul fighting arena and spoke in a low voice, so they didn't call his name. "Feng Go, let me shine for a while more," Ning Rongrong said a little coquettishly. In fact, for her, the increase in strength was only secondary. The main thing was that her whole body was shining, which brought out her temperament and made her look much more beautiful. After all, she was a girl. Even if she was still young, her love for beauty would never change. "Shine your head, I still have to fight 2 more rounds later. Where will I get the soul power to shine for you?" "Oh, then I won't shine." Hearing this, Ning Rongrong instantly guessed. Lin Feng's soul skill consumed a lot of soul power. In fact, Lin Feng simply didn't want to pay attention to such a boring request. It was just a little third soul skill. He could use it hundreds or thousands of times at once. When they returned to the lounge, everyone cheered. "Rongrong, you were too strong just now. Feng Ji's group name is simply amazing. You really live up to your name as Wonder Woman," Xiao Wu praised while giggling. Ma Hongjun was a little more straightforward and directly hugged Lin Feng's thigh. However, the latter gently moved and dodged. "Feng Go, later you should also use this move on me. Let me also experience the feeling of beating my opponent." Ning Rongrong was an auxiliary-type soul master, but her physique was so weak that she could beat 2 soul elders. Ma Hongjun also wanted to experience this feeling. "Later when I change my identity, you won't be able to experience it. Lin Feng heartlessly refused. With 3 identities, Lin Feng naturally couldn't use the same fighting style. As for the one with Ning Rongrong, since he had already tested the possibility of using soul skill transference, he used the auxiliary route. As for the one with Fatty, his name was Black Tiger Afu, so of course he had to finish off his opponents cleanly. As for the identity with Zhu Zhuqing, Lin Feng still had an experiment to do. When the time came, he would shock the audience. "Ah, Feng Gu, you're biased," Ma Hongjun wailed, causing everyone to laugh. Not long after, someone outside came to inform them that it was time for the Black Tiger duo to go on stage. Lin Feng had already changed his mask when no one was paying attention. At this moment, he directly stepped into the Great Soul Arena with Ma Hongjun. The duo faced was called the Cat and Mouse Duo, which sounded very weak. After the host said to start, Lin Feng didn't play any tricks. He didn't give Ma Hongjun a chance to show off and directly attacked. "My name is Black Tiger Ah Fu Dai." After saying this sentence, Lin Feng turned into a whirlwind and pounced directly towards the two. Seeing Lin Feng being so arrogant, the two of them used their soul skills and attacked Lin Feng. The two of them, a man and a woman, flanked him from left and right. Antelope jump! With a low shout, Lin Feng directly jumped 10 meters high in front of the two of them. Then with a flying kick, Lin Feng fell straight down and shouted, "Flying elephant steps on mouse!" Bang! The male soul master, whose martial soul was a mouse, had no resistance and was directly kicked away. Then, while the female soul master was in a daze, Lin Feng directly approached her and grabbed her neck. He smiled slightly. "Elephant catches kitten. Cat and mouse." Lin Feng grabbed this guy and threw him at the other person. But the two collided and made a crisp sound. Both of them were confused. At this point, the two of them had lost their fighting strength. This battle was straightforward and didn't even consume half a minute. After being stunned for a while, the referee announced the victory of the Black Tiger duo. Chapter 143. Isn't Feng Ji's codename Black Tiger? Why does it turn into an elephant when he fights? Everyone in the lounge expressed their doubts. Tang San said with a strange expression, "This is Feng Ji's specialty." Feng Ji's specialty? I've never seen Feng Gu talk about this before. Oscar scratched his head. Previously, when we were in the soul hunting forest, Feng Ji's codename was Black Tiger Ah Fu. Every time he fought, he would say the name of a move. Those names were very strange, and then Tang San spoke for more than a minute before he finished talking about Lin Feng's interesting past. At this time, Lin Feng came into the lounge with Ma Hongjun, who had a look of admiration on his face. "What's wrong?" Lin Feng looked at everyone's strange expressions and was stunned. Dai Mubai took a step forward. "Crow flies on an airplane." "What's an airplane?" Oscar scratched his head. "Tiger claws eat pudding." "Is the pudding delicious?" Ning Rongrong smiled and asked, "Why did the tornado destroy the parking lot?" Lin Feng. "He didn't say anything just now." "How did they know?" Lin Feng stared at Tang San in an instant. "Xiao San, how dare you expose me? You must have complained a little. Otherwise, they wouldn't have asked about this." Lin Feng gave Tang San a knock on the head. Xiao Wu said it too. Tang San touched his head and pointed at Xiao Wu. Xiao Wu, who was smiling at first, was shocked. "Third brother, how dare you betray me?" Xiao Wu twisted Tang San's waist so hard that his face almost twisted. Lin Feng didn't look for trouble with Xiao Wu. Instead, he gave her another knock on her head. "Xiao San, how could you betray Xiao Wu? She's your sister." Tang San was speechless. After messing around for a while, the third one-punch super ghost combo was notified to go on stage. Lin Feng changed his mask and followed Zhu Zhuqing out of the lounge. As soon as he walked out of the door, Zhu Zhuqing said, "Feng Gu, will you also buff me later?" Seeing Ning Rongrong's invincible appearance after being buffed, Zhu Zhuqing couldn't help but yearn for it even though he didn't say anything. I'm not giving you any buffs. That's for the first identity. There's a difference between my 3 identities, Lin Feng casually replied. Oh. Zhu Zhuqing responded, feeling slightly depressed. At this time, Lin Feng said, I'll try a new trick on you later. You'll be the main attacker. New trick? Zhu Zhuqing was taken aback, but he didn't say anything. He lowered his head and followed Lin Feng to the Great Soul Arena. The new trick Lin Feng was talking about was a martial soul fusion technique. Over the years, since Lin Feng had studied soul power and soul skills, how could he not study martial souls? However, compared to the former two, the difficulty of studying martial souls was obviously huge. Lin Feng's ultimate goal was to fuse his twin martial souls together and unleash a powerful force, but for now, this was just an extravagant hope. After so many years, Lin Feng had barely achieved some results, and today was the first battle where he would show his results. Soon, the two arrived at the Great Soul Arena. From the host's introduction, Lin Feng knew that their opponents were the Lightning Crocodile duo. They turned out to be a pair of twin brothers. The older brother was called Jiang Su, and the younger brother was called Jiang Qi. They were both level 37 soul elders, and their martial souls were Lightning Crocodile. Because they were twins and they had the same martial soul, the two of them were able to use a simple martial soul fusion skill. This martial soul fusion technique was extremely powerful. After using it, even soul ancestors were no match for it. Originally, they had already won consecutively and advanced to Copper Warrior Soul, but because they hadn't participated in the soul battle for a long time, their points had automatically dropped, and now they had just fallen to Iron Warrior Soul. Now, as long as they won, they could return to Copper Warrior Soul again. The audience cheered loudly for the Lightning Crocodile duo, and even the host said some good things about them. Even because of their high popularity, the host didn't rush to announce the start of the battle, but continued to stimulate the audience's atmosphere. In the lounge, Xiao Wu said with a smile, I just went out to have a look. This Lightning Crocodile duo seems to be unusual. They are very popular, and the bets are also very high. I took advantage of the situation and bet 1,000 gold coins on Feng Ge to win. The odds are about 5 times. I'm going to make a lot of money. 5 times. So high. I want to go too. Oscar's eyes lit up. Every soul duel in the Great Soul Arena had bets, but for some soul duels that weren't famous or interesting, generally no one would buy them. The bets wouldn't be very big, so even if you wanted to make money, you wouldn't be able to. But in this 2 versus 2 soul battle, because of the Lightning Crocodile duo, the bets were slightly higher, but it wasn't high. It was less than 10,000 gold coins. It's useless even if you go. When I just came here, the bets were closed. This money, I will make it all by myself. Xiao Wu smiled happily. Oscar. At the same time, the Grandmaster looked at the odds not far away and felt a slight headache. In this soul battle, he also bet on Lin Feng and the others to win. Originally, he wanted to make a lot of gold coins, but he didn't expect that not long after he sat down in the audience seat, someone else bet on him. The odds directly decreased a lot, only 5 times. Just when the Grandmaster was distressed about losing a lot of gold coins, the host finally felt that the atmosphere was enough and announced the start of the soul battle. Little brother, Jiang Su said in an undisguised voice, these 2 guys are hiding their heads and tails. Let's not waste time and defeat them quickly. We haven't had a soul battle for a long time. I'm afraid many people have forgotten us. Today, the name of the Lightning Crocodile duo will be famous again. Jiang Qi also echoed loudly. The words of the two caused the audience to cheer. The reason why the Lightning Crocodile brothers did this was to make their reputation more famous. In this way, families or nobles would invest in them. By then, they would make a lot more money than now. Feng Go, they seem to be using a martial soul fusion skill. Zhu Zhuqing whispered beside Lin Feng. Just now, Lin Feng asked her to go. She felt that this suggestion could be changed, or let her experience the feeling of shining. Lin Feng smiled. You have martial soul possession, so you don't have to summon your soul ring. Zhu Zhuqing did as she was told. She was a little puzzled in her heart. What is Lin Feng doing? Relax. Lin Feng put his hands on Zhu Zhuqing's shoulders, and then turned her to face the lightning crocodile brothers. Everyone was confused by this scene. They had no idea what the two of them were doing. On the other side, Jiang Su and Jiang Qi had already carried out martial soul possession, and their soul power was fused together, ready to release a martial soul fusion skill. Logically speaking, Lin Feng and the others should immediately attack at this time and interrupt their fusion. Even if they couldn't, they should at least defend. However, the two were unmoved and still stood quietly in the same place. Chapter 144. What is Feng Ge doing? Seeing Lin Feng place his hands on Zhu Zhuqing's shoulders, Ning Rongrong had a strange expression on her face. I don't know. Is it the same as before when you were glowing? Oscar answered. Ma Hongjun mumbled. Feng Ge is so biased. He won't let me shine. I don't think it's glowing. Tang San said. Feng Ge's thinking is different from ours. I think he might be using some secret soul skill. Secret soul skill? Thinking about how Lin Feng could always say things that surprised them, everyone was looking forward to his actions. At this moment, because there was no movement in the arena for a few seconds, Zhu Zhuqing couldn't help but whisper, Feng Ge, their martial soul fusion skill is about to come out. It'll be done soon. Lin Feng immediately replied. He was using his soul power to sense Zhu Zhuqing's martial soul. Only after thoroughly understanding Zhu Zhuqing's martial soul would he have the confidence to succeed in the fusion. Speaking of which, Lin Feng's research on martial souls in this world had always felt like he was doing something academic. By analyzing the essence of martial souls, he could achieve various things. Dolua's continent had too little research on soul masters. It was similar to the ancient people's research on science and technology. Although there were some achievements, there was no systematic development, and many of the principles were unclear. In the eyes of all the soul masters on the continent, this martial soul fusion skill could only be unleashed by a soul master with a similar martial soul and an extremely strong affinity. Therefore, on the continent there were very few soul masters who could use martial soul fusion skills, the kind that only 1 in 1,000 could do. However, in Lin Feng's research, as long as two soul masters' martial souls didn't clash too much, they could use their own soul power to simulate a specific frequency and use the martial soul fusion skill. Of course, the higher the affinity, the easier it would be to use, and the stronger it would be. If there really was a huge conflict between the martial spirits, or even the kind that completely opposed each other, Lin Feng couldn't directly say that there was no chance to use it. He could only say that he hadn't researched the method yet. Right now, Lin Feng was trying to figure out the frequency of Zhu Zhuqing's martial soul. Soon, the corners of his mouth curled up slightly. He had caught that frequency. At the same time, the lightning crocodile brothers also unleashed their martial soul fusion skill. It was a 5-meter-long giant crocodile silhouette. It floated in the air, surrounded by lightning. It was quite imposing, and the audience cheered. Lightning crocodile breath. Jiang Su shouted. The giant crocodile opened its mouth and spat out a thunder ball at Zhu Zhuqing. What's wrong with Feng Ge? The power of this lightning ball is comparable to a full-powered attack from a soul ancestor. If you don't even react to it, you'll be injured. Xiao Wu was a little puzzled. Why didn't Feng Ge make a move? Even Tang San frowned slightly. He couldn't understand Lin Feng's intentions. At this moment, Lin Feng suddenly said, "Go!" Without the slightest hesitation, Zhu Zhuqing didn't care how strong the lightning ball was and directly rushed out. She knew that Lin Feng definitely wouldn't harm her. He had a reason for letting her go. Sure enough, the moment she rushed forward, Lin Feng opened his right hand, and the rainbow-colored immeasurable flower turned into a stream of light and flew into Zhu Zhuqing's body. Behind her, a rainbow-colored flower silhouette quietly appeared and spun. On her forehead, the imprint of the immeasurable flower also emerged. In the next second, Zhu Zhuqing's body bloomed with rainbow-colored light. The nether civet's silhouette also emerged and merged with the immeasurable flower in an instant. Boom! The moment the two merged, a huge wave of soul power spread out. The lightning ball spat out by the lightning crocodile brothers was actually directly dispersed by this wave. Even the lightning crocodile's silhouette not far away dimmed a lot under the impact of this wave. If the two hadn't increased their soul power to maintain it, it might have dissipated directly. At this moment, Zhu Zhuqing actually floated in the air involuntarily. A rainbow-colored civet's silhouette floated behind her. Even her eyes were affected and turned into rainbow-colored. It was very gorgeous. Could this be a martial soul fusion skill? The Master and Flanders looked at each other and saw the shock in each other's eyes. How is this possible? Martial soul fusion skill has an extremely high requirement for the martial soul affinity between the two, but the two of them have never tried it before. Now, they have successfully used a martial soul fusion skill in one try. The Master was really too shocked because it was too rare to use a martial soul fusion skill in one try. Even twins like the Lightning Crocodile brothers who had the same martial soul might not be able to use it in one try. It wasn't an exaggeration to say that this situation was a miracle. Furthermore, Lin Feng had a mutated plant-type martial soul and Zhu Zhuqing had a beast martial soul. There was almost no connection between the two, so how did this martial soul fusion skill be used? The Master couldn't figure it out even if he cracked his head. At this moment, looking at Zhu Zhuqing floating in the air, the Master's curiosity was about to explode. He couldn't wait to go to Lin Feng's side and ask him what was going on. In the lounge, Tang San and Xiao Wu also looked at each other and said in surprise in unison, "Martial soul fusion skill." Not everyone knew the term martial soul fusion skill. For example, Oscar and Ma Hongjun weren't very clear about it. They immediately asked what a martial soul fusion skill was. After Tang San gave a brief explanation, everyone was shocked speechless for a long time. At this moment, the audience had already shouted, "Super Ghost! Super Ghost! Super Ghost!" Not far away, the Lightning Crocodile brothers' faces were very ugly. They never thought that they would encounter a team that could use a martial soul fusion skill like them. Moreover, the opponent's martial soul fusion skill was ridiculously strong. Just the soul power fluctuation produced by the fusion just now was enough to dissolve their attack. But no matter how strong it was, they had to go up at this moment. Otherwise, if they didn't even attack, they would be really useless. And at this time, Zhu Zhuqing truly experienced the powerful strength in her body. It was a strength that was completely beyond her imagination. It filled her body, and it was so warm that it could actually make her fly out of thin air. The strength in her fist felt like she could punch through the entire soul dueling stage. Her senses became extremely sharp, and the whole world seemed to slow down and become clear. She suddenly found that the Master, Zhao Wuji, and Flanders were in the audience, and they were all looking over with concern. And their opponents, the Lightning Crocodile brothers' faces were full of worry, and the host's face was full of shock. All of this was seen by Zhu Zhuqing, and even the audience's exclamations were heard by Zhu Zhuqing. Looking back, Zhu Zhuqing could still see Lin Feng's calm and encouraging gaze. Chapter 145. Lightning Crocodile Breath. The Lightning Crocodile brothers knew that they couldn't delay any longer and immediately launched an attack. The power on Zhu Zhuqing's body was too strong. They were afraid of wasting any more time and didn't even dare to make a move. As the lightning crocodile shadow opened its mouth, 3 consecutive lightning balls flew towards Zhu Zhuqing in a triangular formation. It feels so weak. Seeing the lightning balls flying over, this was the first thought in Zhu Zhuqing's mind. At the same time, her face under the mask was also shocked by her own strength. Zhu Zhuqing was born in a noble family of the Star Luo Empire. Her knowledge could be said to be one of the best on the continent. She also had some understanding of martial soul fusion skills. Generally speaking, ordinary martial soul fusion skills that could combine the strength of 2 people and release it together were already very powerful. Only those martial soul fusion skills with the highest fusion rate could combine the strength of 2 people and release it in multiples. But now, Zhu Zhuqing felt that the effect of her martial soul fusion skill was a little stronger than the top-notch martial soul fusion skill. Could it be that her compatibility with Lin Feng's martial soul was full? Otherwise, how could it be so strong? Just as she was thinking about this, the lightning crocodile brothers' attack also arrived in front of Zhu Zhuqing. Then, under everyone's surprised gaze, Zhu Zhuqing stretched out her right hand and gently grabbed. Surprisingly, the rainbow cat behind her did the same thing. Then, it casually grabbed the 3 balls of lightning and scattered them. The lightning crocodile brothers. One had to know that the 2 of them spat out 3 lightning balls in one go just now and consumed almost half of their internal strength. This was also their strongest attack. Some soul ancestors found it difficult to resist. Now that it was easily scattered by Zhu Zhuqing, they instantly lost the thought of resisting. At this moment, Zhu Zhuqing seemed to have discovered a new continent. She controlled the rainbow spirit cat behind her in the air, and even ignored the flustered enemies not far away. At first, Zhu Zhuqing thought that Lin Feng's martial soul fusion skill only allowed her to fly and increase her physical fitness. But now, she suddenly realized that those were just the basics. The most important thing was the phantom of the rainbow cat that appeared behind her. It was close to 8 meters in size and contained an extremely terrifying power. Zhu Zhuqing tentatively landed on the floor of the Great Soul Arena, and then stomped on the ground. Boom! With a loud bang, smoke and dust filled the air. When the dust settled, Zhu Zhuqing saw a 1-meter-deep hole in front of him. Not far away, the lightning crocodile brothers looked at each other and swallowed hard. They knew how hard the soul dueling arena was. Although it wasn't as hard as the main soul dueling arena to defend against attacks from soul emperors, it was still able to easily defend against attacks from soul ancestors. At this moment, the shadow behind Zhu Zhuqing easily broke the platform. They did not hesitate to shout, "Referee! We admit defeat." Zhu Zhuqing raised his head in confusion. She was just testing the power of the fusion technique, so why did her opponent surrender? "I hereby announce that the Super Ghost team has won this match." Super Ghost! Super Ghost! The audience was cheering and yelling. The enthusiasm was much more intense than the previous 2 matches. At this moment, Ning Rongrong, who was in the lounge, looked through the special glass window and was a little jealous. Lin Feng waved his hand, and a 7-colored flower flew back from Zhu Zhuqing. The latter also hurriedly ran over and said excitedly, "Feng Ge, this martial soul fusion technique is too strong." One had to know that Zhu Zhuqing was very good at controlling his emotions. Her excitement at this moment was enough to show how excited he was. Listening to Zhu Zhuqing's words, Lin Feng waved his hand calmly. "It's just a small experiment. Let's call it a day." Such a powerful martial soul fusion technique that even a soul king couldn't take a few hits was just a small experiment in his mouth? At this moment, Lin Feng became even more mysterious in Zhu Zhuqing's eyes. He was very curious about how Lin Feng's brain grew, and why he was so smart. "What are you still standing there for? Let's go." After taking 2 steps, Lin Feng found that Zhu Zhuqing was stunned on the spot and didn't follow, so he couldn't help but turn around and call out, "Coming." As soon as they got out of the Great Soul Arena, before they could walk to the lounge, the master and the other two greeted them. Not only them, but even a few staff members of the Great Soul Arena walked over. The badge on the chest of the leader was engraved with the unique logo of the Soto Arena, which meant that he was the manager of the Great Soul Arena. But before this group of staff members had time to speak, Zhao Wuji's soul power shook, and he shouted, "Get lost!" His powerful aura pressed down on those people, and they didn't dare to stay any longer, immediately turning around and leaving. Although Zhao Wuji didn't show his specific strength, that move just now was at least at the Soul Emperor level, so they didn't dare to disturb him at all. "Let's go to the lounge first." Seeing that the master was about to speak, Lin Feng said first. "Okay." The master nodded. Just like this, the group returned to the lounge. "Master, Dean, Teacher Zhao? Why are you here too?" Everyone was surprised by the arrival of the master and the others. "It's all because of Feng Brat. This guy's martial soul fusion skill just now is really shocking," Zhao Wuji said casually. Everyone sat down and the master was the first to ask, "Xiao Feng, how is the consumption? How powerful is it?" "Not much, it can last for an hour or two. I'm not sure about its power, but it should be able to kill a Soul King," Lin Feng said casually. "Master! An hour or two. It should be able to kill a Soul King, right? Are you listening to a human?" Martial soul fusion skills were generally timed by minutes, but you timed it by hours. What else could the master say other than being shocked? In terms of power, a Soul King could be killed, but a Soul Emperor wouldn't dare to say so. If what Lin Feng said was true, his martial soul fusion skill was simply a divine skill. On the side, Zhu Zhuqing was stunned when she heard this. There was one thing she didn't think of before, and that was the problem of the soul power consumption just now. Logically speaking, a martial soul fusion skill consumed the soul power of both parties, and the consumption of soul power was extremely terrifying. Normally, one's soul power would be exhausted very quickly. But just now, Zhu Zhuqing didn't feel the slightest loss of her soul power. This could only mean one thing, that the soul power consumption just now was all borne by Lin Feng alone. At this moment, the master suppressed the shock in his heart and continued to ask, "Your martial soul doesn't have much affinity with Takechi's martial soul, so how can you use a martial soul fusion skill?" This was an extremely crucial question, and everyone was very curious about this point. Even Zhu Zhuqing had the same idea. In this regard, Lin Feng said indifferently, "My martial soul is quite special. I feel that I can use a martial soul fusion skill with all of you." Everyone. Chapter 146. Lin Feng didn't tell the truth, mainly because this research wasn't perfect yet, and the principle was very complicated. Even if he told them, without strong soul power control, they wouldn't be able to learn it. So at this moment, Lin Feng casually found an excuse. Everyone was shocked by Lin Feng's words, but Ning Rongrong suddenly remembered that Lin Feng didn't give her light just now, saying that he didn't have enough soul power. Now that she thought about it, how could it be that he didn't have enough soul power? He just didn't want her to shine. But at this moment, Ning Rongrong didn't want to emit that white light anymore. Although it felt good, emitting that colorful light like Zhu Zhuqing just now would definitely feel more powerful. Just like that, with longing, Ning Rongrong was the first to ask, "Feng Go, quickly try it with me. I also want to become as strong as Take Chi." Every martial soul's fusion skill has a different effect. The fusion skill with Take Chi is an attack type, but the one with you might be a support type. Lin Feng explained. Master also nodded, "That's right, even if Xiao Feng can use martial soul fusion skills with you because of his special martial soul, the type of skill is not fixed." And as if he had regained a little confidence in his field of expertise, Master talked a lot about martial soul fusion skills. But not long after, someone came to inform the 3 dance team to go up for the soul duel. At this point, Master and the others gradually calmed down. Martial soul mutation, How many things could Master not explain about Lin Feng's martial soul? It could detoxify, heal, amplify, and control, so what if there was another martial soul fusion skill? Sometimes, after being shocked too much, it slowly became a habit. Just like that, the Grandmaster and the others stayed in the lounge. The group of people asked Lin Feng questions from time to time, and Ning Rongrong was still pestering Lin Feng to experiment with martial soul fusion skills. After being knocked on the head, she stopped and watched Tang San and Xiao Wu's 2 versus 2 soul duels. Just like that, an hour passed and everyone was done with the soul duel. Master first signed everyone up for the team battle, and then held a small meeting for everyone in a restaurant not far from the Great Soul Arena. What was rare was that this meal was actually treated by the stingy Flanders. As the principal, he was unable to control his emotions after witnessing the emergence of so many geniuses today. Thus, he paid out of his own pocket. Of course, the main reason was that he had won a little over 100 gold coins in the previous bet. Although this was insignificant compared to Xiao Wu's several thousand gold coins, and even more unsightly compared to Lin Feng's several 100,000 gold coins, it was still the largest sum of money that Flanders had earned recently. Cough, cough. After coughing twice, the master began to speak. From this morning's soul battle, I can see that all of you have made great progress. Every single one of you has defeated your opponents, but don't be complacent. Right now, all of you are only at the Iron Soul stage. When you reach the Copper Soul stage, all of your opponents will be experienced Soul Masters. You can only defeat your opponents if you remain vigilant at all times. After warning, the Master took out a set of information and threw it to everyone. While everyone was reading the information, the Master said, "The team battle is not the same as 1-on-1 or 2-on-2. It has a time arrangement. In 2 hours, it will be your team battle. This time, the 7 of you will go on stage. Lin Feng will not go up, and in the future, it will be the 7 of you. And your opponent for the first team battle is the Wild Team. Their team is full of Soul Masters at the Soul Elder level, and they are all above level 35. They are very strong. And their fighting style is quite fierce. They have only been registered for 7 days, but they have injured many people. Their captain, Wild Rhino, is a level 39 Soul Master." The Master spoke for nearly 10 minutes before he finished analyzing the situation of the Wild Team in detail. "How is it? Are the 7 of you confident?" "Yes." The 7 of them answered in unison, without the slightest hesitation. Although the opponents were all Soul Elders above level 35 and their cooperation was not weak, Tang San and the others were not jealous. After training for so long, they could last for a minute under Lin Feng's hands and even beat a Soul King. At this time, it was just a group of Soul Elders. There was nothing to be afraid of. In this way, the group of people ate happily, but when it was time to pay the bill after eating, Flanders was a little unhappy. This group of little guys actually ate several of his gold coins. But he didn't think much about it. The group rushed to the Great Soul Arena and prepared for the Team Soul battle. As for Lin Feng, when he went out of the lounge for a walk, he got a team badge from his avatar Tony, as well as the Soul Battle badges representing 7 identities. 7 identities. Lin Feng completed all the Soul Battle, and even participated in the 2-on-2 Soul Battle. For several hours, he was barely able to do 3 things at once, which consumed a lot of Lin Feng's mind. After getting the badge, he returned to the lounge and closed his eyes to rest. By the way, that team badge was specially registered by Lin Feng, and its name was Avengers Alliance. Of course, Lin Feng didn't sign up for the team battle, because it was useless. At this time, he still couldn't do 7 things at once, and now it was just a name. Not long after, the staff of the Great Soul Arena informed them that the soul battle between Shrek's 7 monsters and the Berserker squad was about to begin. Team battles had always been the most watched soul battle, so there was no need to worry about not being able to open a bet, and it wasn't small at all. When Tang San and the others were introduced by the host on the stage, Lin Feng came to the banker's side and bet 10,000 gold coins on Shrek's 7 monsters. Originally, the odds were very high, but when Lin Feng bet 10,000 gold coins, the odds were reduced to more than twice. In this regard, Lin Feng could only sigh. If only he was more famous. This was only a few tens of thousands of gold coins, and the main reason was because the Berserker squad had been in the limelight recently, so many people bet on them to win. But for Lin Feng, this was still too small, and he only earned 20,000 gold coins at a time. However, Lin Feng knew that there were only so many Soul Masters in Soto City, and it was already the limit to open a bet of tens of thousands of gold coins, but there were close to 10,000 people betting. If he wanted to see a higher bet, he would have to go to an empire's main city like Heaven Do City. Thinking of this, Lin Feng was a little tempted. But in the end, Lin Feng realized that he didn't seem to need gold coins, and he didn't have anything to buy, so there was no need. Just like that, Lin Feng focused his attention on the Great Soul Arena. At this moment, after the host warmed up the atmosphere, the battle officially began. The Berserker squad situation had been analyzed by the master. At this moment, they were facing Shrek's 7 monsters, who were many times stronger than in the original work. This could no longer be called a battle, it could be said to be a one-sided crushing. In less than 5 minutes, the battle was over, and the Berserker squad was defeated without any surprise. Chapter 147. Tang San had the ability to fight above his rank. Even though he was only a Soul Elder, he could fight against a Soul Ancestor or even a Soul King. Tang San and the others couldn't even unleash half of their strength against the Berserker team. They didn't do it on purpose. It was mainly because of the Master's request that they try not to unleash their full strength to prevent being targeted by others. Tang San and the others originally thought that the infamous Berserker team was extremely strong, and they were prepared to expose 1 or 2 of their strength. However, they realized that their opponents were too weak once they started fighting. Although their soul power ranks weren't low, their coordination was too weak, and their control of their soul skills was too weak. They were defeated within 5 minutes by Shrek's 7 monsters, who only unleashed half of their strength. If Tang San and the others unleashed their full strength, they would probably be able to end the battle within a minute based on the intensity of their training with Lin Feng. The master looked at the 7 people cheering for their victory and nodded with a smile. He was obviously quite satisfied. Everyone was still quite excited when they returned to the resting room. They had been beaten up by Lin Feng for so long over the past few months, and now they could easily defeat others. This was a form of proof, and also a form of confidence. It proved that it wasn't that they were too weak, but that Feng Gu was too strong. He's still the captain of the Berserker team. He's quite arrogant, but he's a little silly. Xiao Wu was still discussing the battle just now after she came in. Yeah, he said he was going to cripple us before we even started. Great, now he's crippled himself. Oscar looked relaxed. Those teammates are too weak, ha ha ha. Dai Mubai also laughed. At this moment, the master said, "Today is the first day, and everyone has performed very well. The rest of the time is free time. Oh yes, I believe all of you have won a lot of gold coins. For the next period of time, you can find a place to stay until you get a Silver Warrior soul." They had already eaten the celebration banquet at noon, so the master didn't want to eat again. The Silver Warrior soul was one of the graduation conditions that Flanders had told them before. Originally, the Academy's requirement was for them to obtain it before they reached level 40. However, from the looks of it, the master wanted everyone to get it within half a year. Although this matter was very difficult, everyone was very confident and did not have the slightest objection. Nothing comes without effort. If you want to become strong, you have to put in more effort than ordinary people. I hope everyone can be self-disciplined. After the master finished his lecture, everyone was dismissed. There wasn't a situation where a group of people went out to have fun. Everyone consciously found a room nearby and then began to meditate. Even if they wanted to go out and have fun, they didn't plan to stay for long. They just strolled around and got ready to come back. During this time, Xiao Wu and Ning Rongrong wanted to invite Lin Feng to hang out, but Lin Feng rejected them without even thinking about it. Tang San and the rest had experienced 3 soul battles, and only their bodies were tired. However, Lin Feng was different. He had been multitasking for half a day and had exhausted too much of his energy. When he returned to his room, he fell asleep immediately. Just like this, everyone entered into the intense training of 3 soul battles a day. Lin Feng was the same. His multitasking ability was improving rapidly. The improvement during battles was much faster than when he was cultivating alone, which made Lin Feng very happy. During this time, he also tested martial soul fusion skills with everyone. As expected, they were very powerful and invincible. However, Lin Feng made it clear to them that martial soul fusion skills were only external forces. If they wanted to become stronger, they had to rely on themselves. Half a month passed in the blink of an eye. On this day, everyone was still training in Soto City. However, at this time, Dugubo was carefully sneaking into the setting sun forest. That's right, he waited for nearly 20 days before he dared to return to the setting sun forest to check on the situation. After he was scared away, he inquired for a long time to find out the identity of the masked man, Lin Feng. However, he checked all the information of the major powers and even the information of the families on the continent. In the end, he came up empty-handed. This masked man seemed to have appeared out of thin air. He even suspected that Lin Feng was 100,000-year soul beast. Otherwise, why would the soul beasts in the setting sun forest riot after he fought with Lin Feng? Moreover, the riot lasted for more than 10 days. Even in Heaven Do City, Dugubo could feel the might of 100,000-year soul beast. During this time, a martial soul temple elder overseeing Heaven Do City's martial soul temple, the rank 93 Ing Luandoloa, specially asked him about the situation. Because he wasn't sure of Lin Feng's identity and didn't know which power he belonged to, Dugubo didn't tell him about their fight. After all, the martial soul temple was a very ambitious power. At the moment, most people believed that there weren't many titled Doloa on the continent. In fact, there were less than 5 titled Doloa on the continent. But in reality, there were more than that. At least, as far as Dugubo knew, there were at least 30 titled Doloa in all the major powers. There were even more titled Doloa in the Heaven Do Empire. After all, the Heaven Do Empire had 2 titled Doloa in it. There were reasons why they were able to keep it a secret. One reason was that news traveled slowly. Another reason was that many titled Doloa's breakthroughs were done in secret. More importantly, all the major powers would do their best to keep it a secret. Unless they revealed their titled Doloa in the open, no one would know. Therefore, when he met Lin Feng, he thought that Lin Feng was a hidden master from a major power. As far as Dugubo knew, the martial soul temple's strength was the most well hidden. On the surface, there were only 3 or 4 titled Doloa in the martial soul temple. But in fact, Dugubo had met 5 titled Doloa in person, and 4 of them had never been made public. Ingluan Doloa, who was stationed in the martial soul temple, was one of them. Dugubo believed that the martial soul temple had at least 10 titled Doloa. That was a shocking number. They must be preparing for something. Dugubo had to be careful. The riot in the Sunset Forest had gradually died down 3 days ago. Dugubo went back to the Sunset Forest at that time for 2 reasons. For another, the poison in his body was about to come back. He had to use the herbs in the garden to suppress the poison. He wasn't worried that the herb garden would be discovered because it was a well-hidden place. He had only found it by chance. Later on, he had done some modifications. Without a guide, it would be hard to find the herb garden. Things went as he expected. When he returned, his herb garden was still intact. After carefully looking around, he didn't find Lin Feng's figure. P.S. Thank you for JoJo's miracle and for your tips. Thank you so much. Chapter 148. The Icefire Yin Yang Well was a magical place. Lin Feng naturally had thoughts about it. However, there was a large number of soul beasts in the setting sun forest at that time, and his aura was locked onto by that 100,000-year soul beast. He was afraid of being chased, so he didn't go back to look for it. Furthermore, Lin Feng knew that place couldn't escape. Dugubo didn't know about some of the immortal herbs there. Lin Feng wasn't in a hurry to plunder them. Most importantly, those herbs could raise a soul elder by several ranks after eating them. However, he was a soul sage now, so it probably didn't have much effect on him. Furthermore, he didn't know what those herbs were like. He didn't know which ones were poisonous and which weren't. Therefore, Lin Feng had thoughts about those herbs, but it wasn't very strong. When the time was right, he would bring his tool, Tang San, to take a look. At the same time, in Heavendo City, in the Crown Prince's palace, Xue Qinghe was looking at the two messages he had just received. One of them was about Fu the Black Tiger. According to the spies, a soul master called Fu the Black Tiger had appeared in Soto City's soul dueling arena half a month ago. This soul master's fighting style was almost exactly the same as Fu the Black Tiger in the soul hunting forest. During battle, he would always say some inexplicable soul skill names. As his reputation gradually spread, they went to investigate and confirmed the accuracy of this matter. This piece of news was actually not bad. Xue Qinghe had been paying attention to news about Fu the Black Tiger, so it was expected that he would appear in Soto City. What shocked him was the second piece of news. This piece of news was about the person he had been looking for all this time, Thanos. The spies said that they learned this news from Serpent. Nearly 4 months ago, Serpent met a strong person suspected to be Thanos in the Star Do Great Forest. They took the mask's portrait and went to ask, and were 90% sure that the person was Thanos. Thanos was very likely to be at the titled rank of Doloa or at the very least, one of the most powerful Soul Dolo warriors. Thanos was able to fight the Titan Ape, the king of the forest. Even though the Titan Ape hadn't reached the 100,000-year rank, the fact that Thanos could fight it meant that he was as strong as a titled battle pet warrior, Dolu. Titled battle pet warrior Dolu. This was something that Xue Qinghe found extremely difficult to accept, and he even suspected that the Thanos mentioned in the news was the same person as the Thanos he'd met last time. He clearly remembered that the last time he had met Thanos, he had been hunting a 10,000-year Fireweaver monkey. Furthermore, he'd seen the Fireweaver monkey's corpse in the cave. Its soul ring was missing, which meant it had most likely been absorbed. At that time, he could tell that Thanos had become a Soul Emperor. And now, only a few years had passed? In such a short time? How was it possible that someone who'd just become a Soul Emperor had the strength of a titled battle pet warrior Dolua? It had to be known that even with his innate rank 20 soul force, he was only at rank 69. He still needed to cultivate for a while before he could become a soul sage. And that guy actually had the strength of a titled battle pet warrior Dolua? The news said that this Thanos had 5 black 10,000-year soul rings. Aside from being shocked, Xue Qinghe was also curious. The reason why he'd sent people to investigate Thanos' identity was to see if he could take in such a genius and make him work for him. This kind of situation was very common. Some Soul Master clans would find some good Soul Master seedlings outside and think of ways to recruit them into the clan, then sell their lives for the clan. Xue Qinghe didn't have any true experts under him. Most of them were sent by the Martial Soul Hall. On the surface, it was said that they were there to protect him, but in reality they were there to monitor him. Because of this, he was prepared to nurture a few experts in secret. But now it seemed that this Thanos was no longer someone he could track down directly. He decided to give up the mission to track down Thanos and start to confirm Black Tiger Ah Fu's identity. As long as he confirmed that there wasn't too much danger, he would personally go and contact him. Thanos was too mysterious. In a few years, a Soul Emperor had become a titled battle pet warrior Dolu. Even if it wasn't his own strength, there was definitely a big secret. For this secret, or simply to know Thanos' identity, he had to ask Black Tiger Ah Fu. Lin Feng wasn't clear about Xueqinghe's plan. At this time, he was continuing to train his multitasking ability, and at the same time, his combat experience was rapidly increasing. Those identities he used to impersonate were also popular in the Soul dueling arena. Among the 7 identities, Thunder God Thor and Hulk were the most popular because they were able to easily crush their opponents in battle without a single defeat. Even among the opponents they defeated, there were powerful Soul Masters such as Thousand Arms Azura and Soft Bone Magic Rabbit that were relatively popular recently. Because of this, their reputation was the most resounding, and the other identities couldn't compare to them. Because of the fame and strength of the clones, Tang San and the others, including the Masters, were all on guard. In this regard, Lin Feng found it very interesting. While listening to their analysis of how strong this Iron Man was and how powerful that Spider-Man was, he couldn't help but laugh. By the way, Xiao Wu and Ning Rongrong couldn't control their mouths and actually scolded Thunder God and Black Panther in front of Lin Feng. When they were rewarded by Lin Feng every time they scolded, they finally understood what it meant to be a lady and what it meant to be civilized. I found out that those people registered a 7-person team called the Avengers. There are no substitutes, but this team hasn't fought once. I don't know why. Their identities are also very mysterious. They wear masks just like us. Currently, no one knows where they came from. Also, the Master held a small meeting with everyone, and Lin Feng also listened to everyone's analysis of his various clones. The Master analyzed very hard. He had no choice. He wanted Shrek's 7 monsters to keep winning. Because their reputation was getting higher and higher, their winning rate had become very high. It was already very difficult for the Master to win money from betting on them, unless they fixed the match. But this was a behavior that the Master hated very much, so there was no such thing as making money from fixed matches. In the end, he could only participate in the incentive plan of the Great Soul Dueling Arena, and the team would keep winning so that they could make money. So at this time, they were very worried that the Avengers would participate in the team battle. Because among the current Soul Elder level teams, they were most afraid of this Avengers. But recently, there seemed to be a very fierce Imperial battle team that had a winning streak, but the Master didn't pay attention to it yet. He was going to take a look tomorrow. Chapter 149. Tang San said after Grandmaster finished his analysis, "What we need to worry about now is not the team battle, but how to maintain our victory in the 1-on-1 and 2-on-2 soul battles." "That's right." Grandmaster nodded. "I'm just preparing for the team battle. Shrek's 7 monsters team badges have already reached the Silver Warrior soul level. No matter how fast the Avengers' winning streak is, it will take us more than half a month to meet them. Now, what we need to pay attention to is the weaknesses of these masked men with strange names, and how are you going to defeat them? If we don't solve this problem, it will be much more difficult for you to obtain a single Silver Warrior soul." The problem that Grandmaster mentioned was mainly caused by Lin Feng on purpose. This group of guys had won every battle and almost felt like they were the best in the world. Therefore, Lin Feng used his doppelgangers to snipe them and teach them how to be human. When Grandmaster said to find the weakness, he wanted to see how to defeat Lin Feng's doppelgangers. Speaking of which, Lin Feng's doppelgangers were really powerful. After such a long time, Hu Hao's doppelgangers could use the 1,000 manipulation ruler as long as they were within a range of 2,000 meters. Lin Feng could also simulate all kinds of martial souls, soul rings, and soul skills. In the past, Lin Feng didn't have the ability to multitask, and his spiritual power wasn't developed enough. However, after such a long time of training, he could imagine many things. Lin Feng even had a bold idea. For example, he could create Ultraman? Sometimes, when Lin Feng was bored, he would create some familiar characters from his previous life and stare blankly at them. The 1,000 mechanic rulers' transformations all had corresponding characteristics. Moreover, after it gained vitality, it looked like the real thing at first glance. It was full of vitality. If he could create a strong Ultraman, wouldn't he be able to defeat everyone? Speaking of which, the world of Doluo was just a low-level fantasy world. The so-called gods weren't particularly strong. Lin Feng was only a puny soul sage right now, but his horizons were no longer limited to the continent of Doluo. He also saw the stars and the sea. Just as thoughts were running through his mind, the Grandmaster finished his discussion with everyone and came up with several countermeasures. Tang San and the others nodded repeatedly after listening. They were full of confidence, thinking that the next time they met, they would definitely beat those masked men until they were looking for their teeth on the ground. On the other side, the real, masked man, Lin Feng, smiled and nodded. Very good strategy. I will remember it. When the time comes, each and every one of you will be beaten down by me. At night, Lin Feng was a little thirsty and hungry. While it was still lively outside and the shops were not closed yet, he ran out and sat in front of a barbecue shop. Boss, 2 sets of all the barbecue and a case of cold beer. After throwing 2 gold coins over, Lin Feng sat down on a chair in front of the shop. All right, please wait a moment, Sir Soul Master. The boss happily took the gold coins and began to barbecue. Lin Feng was a regular customer of this shop. He had been here several times this month, and he was very generous every time. It was obvious that he was a soul master. Not long after, the barbecue was served one after another. Lin Feng ate and drank in large mouthfuls, and he was very happy. This is awesome. Lin Feng tasted the familiar flavor of this barbecue shop from his previous life, so he liked to come here. Not long after he started eating, a middle-aged man in a black robe with blue patterns suddenly walked over and sat down on the chair across from him. Lin Feng narrowed his eyes and looked at him with a smile. You've been observing me for so many days. Do you finally have something to ask of me? Lin Feng had discovered a long time ago that someone was spying on them. At first, he didn't pay much attention to it as it was very normal. Just like his clones, there would be people coming to find him or track him every day after the soul battles. It was the same for Shrek's 7 monsters. They were often tracked, so they always wore masks when they went out. However, Lin Feng discovered that there was a group of people following him. They didn't follow anyone else, and they only followed him. If they were following him, they should have at least jumped out and said something. However, these people didn't say anything or do anything. They just silently followed him. In the beginning, these people weren't very powerful, so Lin Feng didn't pay them much attention. However, a soul sage came over later. Lin Feng knew that the organization behind this had to be something. He wanted to capture them and interrogate them. However, soul sages weren't weak. When they unleashed their martial soul true bodies, even Lin Feng would have to expend some effort to kill them. It was almost impossible to capture them alive. Furthermore, they were in the city, so it wouldn't be good for them to fight. Therefore, Lin Feng prepared to lure these people out of the city. However, these people were very smart and didn't fall for it. Lin Feng wanted to talk to them, but they ran away as soon as Lin Feng approached. Most importantly, their martial souls were very special, and they ran very quickly. To be honest, Lin Feng was amused by this group of people. They were out for a barbecue today, and this group of people actually took the initiative to contact him. It was a little surprising. "Are you Black Tiger Fu's Soul Elder?" the man in black with blue patterns asked. This guy was the Soul Elder that Lin Feng had sensed earlier. His martial soul was very strange. He could travel underground and escape very quickly. Lin Feng couldn't catch him even if he wanted to. "If you have something to say it quickly. Don't give me these empty words." Lin Feng continued to eat and drink. He didn't treat these people well. If not for his curiosity about these people's motives and the current situation, Lin Feng would have attacked them already. "I want to ask you about someone. I hope you can tell me the truth." The Soul Sage wasn't angry, and his tone was still calm. His mission was to investigate the strength of the Soul Masters around Black Tiger Fu, as well as some interpersonal relationships. In the past few days, he had done very well. He had obtained the information of the most dangerous Soul Sage, and then sent it back. The next day, which was today, he received a mission to ask about Black Tiger Fu Thanos. Furthermore, he had to be very polite and not use any force. "Person? Who?" "His name is Thanos." Lin Feng's hand that was drinking beer paused for a moment, then he smiled and said, "I can answer your question, but I have a condition." Hearing this name, Lin Feng understood. This group of people definitely knew about the Soul Hunting Forest. Otherwise, they wouldn't know about the relationship between Thanos and Black Tiger Fu. As for who was behind this, there were many possibilities. Because of his identity as Thanos, he had seen many people. However, the biggest possibilities were the Martial Soul Hall, Serpent's family, or Dugubo's side. At this time, Lin Feng needed to find out who was investigating him. "Tell me your condition first." "It's very simple. I'll answer one of your questions, and you'll answer one of mine. If you give me a false answer, then I can't guarantee that my answer is true." The black-robed Soul Sage with blue patterns was secretly shocked by Lin Feng's eloquence. This guy is too calm. Although he didn't show any pressure, Lin Feng didn't panic at all in the face of a stranger. Even his mind was so agile. He was worthy of being closely monitored by Her Highness. Thinking about it, he nodded and said, "That's very fair." Chapter 150. "Go ahead," Lin Feng said indifferently. "First question, what's your relationship with Thanos?" They had guessed this question, but they needed to confirm it. "Nothing much. I was his assistant for a period of time, and he took good care of me." Lin Feng smiled. "It's my turn to ask. The question is simple. Which force is behind you?" After pondering for a moment, the black-clothed Soul Sage said, "The Martial Spirit Hall." Lin Feng frowned slightly. Although he guessed that it was most likely the Martial Spirit Hall, he didn't believe it when this guy said it so straightforwardly. But after thinking about it carefully, it was most likely true. After all, the Martial Spirit Hall was so strong, so it didn't matter if he said it directly. Second question, where is Thanos now? "I don't know." Lin Feng shook his head and asked, "Why are you looking for Thanos?" "To rope him in." Hearing this, Lin Feng smiled slightly. Then, he stood up and turned to leave. "Why are you leaving?" "I haven't finished asking my questions." The black-clothed Soul Sage was stunned and said. "But I've finished asking my questions," Lin Feng said matter-of-factly. The black-clothed Soul Sage was speechless. "Can I give you 1,000 gold coins for a question?" Lin Feng ignored him and kept walking. He had already guessed everything after asking these two questions. These guys must have been sent by Qianrenshu. After all, Thanos had met the higher-ups of the Martial Spirit Hall before, and Qianrenshu was the only spy. It seemed that Qianrenshu saw his strength, and wanted to send him to the Martial Spirit Hall. He could see through her little plan at a glance. Actually, after so many years of personal understanding, Lin Feng had a better impression of the Martial Spirit Hall. He felt that this force didn't seem to be a villain, but a charity organization. Although the martial spirit hall had a lot of power, it was so powerful that it was ridiculous, and it covered almost all the cities of the two empires. But correspondingly, the obligations they fulfilled were also incomparably huge. As long as a soul cultivator went to register, they would be given a subsidy of gold coins before they entered the Soul Divine sect. All of this money came from the Martial Soul Palace, and the Empire didn't have to pay a single cent. As for the awakening of the Soul Masters, they were all from the Martial Spirit Hall. They went to the villages to awaken the Soul Masters, and the Empire didn't care at all. Perhaps it was mainly because of the interests and power between the two parties. But at least from the public's point of view, the Martial Soul Palace had done much more than the Imperium. In other words, the Empire didn't want to support the commoners at all. They only cared about the nobles and large families. This way they would be able to rule better and strengthen their control over the commoners. Otherwise, if they supported commoner soul masters, it wouldn't benefit them at all. On the other hand, the Martial Spirit Palace paid more attention to civilians. In other words, they could only target civilians because aristocrats and big clans were all interest groups of the empire. The purpose of the Martial Spirit Palace was to absorb more talents from commoners and strengthen itself by giving opportunities to ordinary people. Due to the sheer number of commoners, the Martial Soul Hall was able to absorb far more soul masters than anyone could have imagined, even after years of being eliminated from the populace. It was hard to say who was good or bad between the two parties. It was just that they had different standpoints. In the original work, the Martial Spirit Palace's final choice was to start a war across the continent, overthrow everything, and finally establish a new empire. Because this method was too cruel, Lin Feng's impression of the Martial Spirit Palace was that it was a proper villain. But now that he thought about it, the Martial Spirit Palace was still a good force if its methods were gentler. Thinking about this, Lin Feng also left the street. Originally, he thought that those people would catch up with him and continue to ask questions, but they didn't. This was very puzzling. If they really wanted to rope in Thanos' identity, they shouldn't have given up at this time. That guy didn't ask anything just now. He couldn't figure it out. He was too lazy to think about it. After returning to the room, he merged the avatar he left here into his body and continued to meditate. That's right, because his identity was being monitored, this place was no longer safe. For the sake of Tang San and the others' lives, Lin Feng would leave his avatar in place every time he went out. Humans were emotional animals and social animals. Lin Feng still had to protect the people he was familiar with. If one day, the people he was familiar with were no longer around, and everyone he met was a stranger, no matter how strong he would find it boring. Loneliness would be his greatest enemy. While Lin Feng was meditating, the black-robed soul sage also sent out the assessment. It said that Black Tiger Ah Fu was approachable and had no hostility to the Martial Spirit Palace, but he was not very willing to cooperate. The comprehensive risk assessment was low. Lin Feng didn't know about this. The night passed peacefully. The next day, everyone still carried out the soul duel as usual. Then, Tang San and the others were surprised to find that the tactics they discussed yesterday against Thor, Iron Man, and the like were useless. Instead, they were countered by the other party. Especially the one with the codename Thor, he fought fiercely. With a big hammer, he was invincible. No one could withstand 3 of his hammers. Speaking of which, the title Thor still caused a lot of criticism. Even the host often used it to talk about things. Because the word God was a taboo in a sense, soul masters on the continent would generally deliberately avoid it. However, Lin Feng had been winning continuously. This criticism quickly disappeared, and the audience cheered for him. Just as Lin Feng continued to be distracted by fighting, on the other side, the master was chatting with a manager of the Great Soul Arena. This manager's surname was Ao. Manager Ao was looking for the master to talk about the Imperial battle team. As mentioned before, the Great Soul Arena was not just a place for soul masters to compete fairly. There were many interests intertwined inside. This Imperial Battle Team was a Soul Elder team invested in by some nobles. As long as they had a winning streak here, they could bring huge benefits to those nobles through some betting operations, and most of these benefits were provided by the Great Soul Arena. Therefore, Manager AO needed to find a team to end their winning streak. It just so happened that Shrek's 7 Monsters, a team with a winning streak, came into his eyes. For this, Manager AO took out the sincerity of their Great Soul Arena. If the master agreed to fight, each of them would get 500 gold coins as an appearance fee regardless of winning or losing. Moreover, the location of the battle would be in Soto City's Great Soul Arena. And if they defeated the other party, Soto City would give a reward of 10,000 gold coins. This reward of gold coins was still very tempting to the master. The academy was too poor now. With this sum of gold coins, they wouldn't have to worry about money for the next year. So without thinking much, the master agreed to this battle. Chapter 151. At noon, everyone was having lunch in a private room of a hotel near the Great Soul Arena. Dai Mubai continued to complain to everyone. You guys don't know, but that Thunder God is too much of a bully. My third soul skill was like paper in front of him. He sent me flying with a single blow of his hammer. Tang San on the side, the corner of his mouth also twitched. I met that Hulk today. When he used his soul skill, his whole body was as strong as a real bear. My blue-silver grass couldn't trap him at all. He grabbed me and smashed me to the ground. If it wasn't just a spar, I'm afraid I would have been smashed to death. Xiao Wu also said, that Black Panther, for a time, the meal became a gathering of grievances. Lin Feng could not help but laugh out loud as he listened to the vivid descriptions of the people who were in such a miserable state. Feng Gu, what are you laughing at? Xiao Wu was crying miserably. Hearing the laughter, she turned around in surprise. I thought of something funny. Lin Feng's expression immediately returned to normal. I was bullied miserably, and you're still laughing. You have to help me. Xiao Wu ran over and directly acted coquettishly. On the side, Ning Rongrong also said, Feng Gu, you haven't participated in the one-on-one soul battle. Why don't you participate now? Just take it as helping us take revenge, okay? Lin Feng didn't care about badge rank. If it weren't for the fact that he had to bring Zhu Zhuqing, Ning Rongrong, and Ma Hongjun along for the 2-on-1 battle, his main body wouldn't have to fight at all. He could just sit in the lounge and play with his doppelgangers. Therefore, Lin Feng had never participated in the one-on-one soul battle. What revenge? If you can't beat him, then train hard. Train until you can. We're all soul elders. Why are others so strong and you guys so weak? It would be too stupid to fight oneself. Lin Feng certainly wouldn't do that. Anyway, he had many doppelgangers. Most of them were used to continue to improve his combat experience, and the other few were used to block them. It was quite interesting. Feng Gu, don't be so heartless. Those guys are too much of a bully. Your younger sister, am about to become autistic. You can't just stand by and watch. Looking at Xiao Wu's coquettish posture, Lin Feng was about to give her a knock on the head when the master walked in. In the afternoon, you will have a special team battle. The location will be in the Great Soul Arena. This is the information of your opponent, Imperial Battle Team. Take a look. Everyone quickly stopped complaining and grabbed the information that the master threw over to them to read. The information they had was very simple. Unlike Mad Battle Team, which had been around for a long time, Imperial Battle Team had very little information. There were a total of 7 people in the Imperial Battle Team, and all of them had Silver Battle Soul badges. Team Leader, Yu Tianheng. Martial Soul, Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon. Rank 39, Assault Type Soul Master. Soul Rings, 2 yellow and 1 purple. Vice Captain, Doguyen. Martial Soul, Jade Phosphorus Snake. Rank 38 Control Type Soul Master. Soul Rings, 2 yellow and 1 purple. Team Member, Graphite. Martial Soul, Xuanwu Turtle. Rank 38 Defense Type Soul Master. Soul Rings, 2 yellow and 1 purple. Team Member, Grindstone. Martial Soul, Xuanwu Turtle. Rank 37 Defense Type Soul Master. Soul Rings, 2 yellow and 1 purple. Team Member, Imperial Wind. Martial Soul, Windchime Bird. Rank 36 Agility Type Soul Master. Soul Rings, 2 yellow and 1 purple. Team Member, Oslo. Martial Soul, Ghost Leopard. Rank 36 Agility Type Soul Master. Soul Rings, 2 yellow and 1 purple. Team Member, Yi Lingling. Martial Soul, Nine-Hearted Begonia. Rank 35 Auxiliary Type Soul Master. Soul Rings, 2 yellow and 1 purple. Their soul power ranks are so high and they all have perfect soul rings. Their overall strength is much stronger than Mad Battle Team's. I just feel like they won't be able to defeat the Avengers. Tang San analyzed in a low voice. Everyone nodded. They won't be able to defeat the Avengers. In their hearts, although they would be tortured by the masked men in a 1-on-1 or 2-on-2, they still believed that Shrek's 7 monsters could defeat the Avengers. When Tang San said that the Imperial Battle Team couldn't compare to the Avengers, he meant that they were no match for Shrek's 7 monsters. The Grandmaster coughed. The Imperial Battle Team's composition is very reasonable. You have to pay attention to the captain and vice-captain. As long as you can pin them down, you have a 70% chance of winning this soul duel. That captain has the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon Martial Soul. It's a top-tier beast soul with incredible offensive power. Its position among beast souls is equivalent to that of the 7 Treasures Glazed Pagoda among auxiliary-type martial souls. As for Vice-Captain Duguyen, she has a jade-scaled snake martial soul. That reminds me of someone. The Grandmaster paused here to whet everyone's appetite. Who is it, Grandmaster? Tell us quickly, Xiao Wu urged. Satisfied, the Grandmaster continued, the jade-scaled snake martial soul is a rare martial soul on the continent. There aren't many soul masters who possess this martial soul. The most powerful soul master among them is the jade-scaled Doluo, Dugubo, who is a very special control-type soul master. He is also known as Poison Doluo because his poison is the strongest in the world. Hearing this, everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. Titled Doluo Dugu? That's terrifying. But what does that have to do with us? Lin Feng cleverly supported the Grandmaster. At the same time, Lin Feng cursed inwardly. That's it? What's with the strongest poison? He couldn't even break through my fog of life force and was scared away. TSK so weak. The Grandmaster didn't know what Lin Feng was thinking. He smiled. Others might not know by Lin Doluo's name, but I do. His surname is Dugu, and this vice-captain is called Duguyen. Her martial soul is a jade-scaled snake, and she is also a rare control-type soul master, so there must be some relationship between the two. Dai Mubai added, that captain should be from the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon family. I haven't heard of anyone with a Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon martial soul anywhere else. Tang San added, the Black Tortoise is a martial soul as famous as the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon. Its defense is extremely strong, and it is also a top-notch existence among defense-type martial souls. Moreover, these two are twins and their martial souls are the same. They are very similar to the Lightning Crocodile brothers we met before. They might also know a martial soul fusion skill. Everyone fell into deep thought, taking note of these points one by one, thinking about how to deal with them. Seeing this, the Grandmaster nodded inwardly. They were indeed a group of geniuses. How long had it been? In just a short month, they had gone from needing him to carry them for analysis to now being able to do it on their own. Their growth was too fast. Although there were still many things they hadn't analyzed yet, it was already very good to have this kind of habit. At this time, Ning Rongrong suddenly said, "In addition to the captain and vice-captain, you should also pay attention to this support-type soul master because her martial soul is the nine-hearted begonia." Chapter 152. Nine-hearted begonia? The Grandmaster was stunned. What's so special about this martial soul? The Grandmaster wasn't omnipotent. Although he was known as the #1 researcher in martial soul theory, there were so many martial souls in the world that he couldn't know everything. He had never heard of this nine-hearted begonia before, so he was a little curious when Ning Rongrong told him to pay attention. If the Grandmaster was curious, then everyone else was even more curious. This was a martial soul that even the Grandmaster didn't know about. Everyone looked at Ning Rongrong. Ning Rongrong was also a little proud. Since the Grandmaster had asked her, she did the same thing as the Grandmaster from before. She made a tactical pause, wanting everyone to pay attention to her. However, Lin Feng wasn't moved at all. He continued eating the peanuts on the table. Stupid Feng Go must have known about it long ago. Ning Rongrong snorted in her heart. She didn't continue to insist and explained. The nine-hearted begonia is an extremely special martial soul. It's different from ordinary martial souls. It's passed down through generations, and there can only be one inheritor in every generation. It can be said that it's the rarest martial soul on the continent of Dolu. My father once said that the nine-hearted begonia is a miracle among martial souls. Ning Rongrong's father was the sect master of the Seven Treasures Glazed sect. He was an authority among auxiliary-type soul masters. If even he called it a miracle, it was enough to show how special this martial soul was. At this moment, Ning Rongrong continued, "This martial soul is very powerful. No matter how many soul rings it has, it only has one soul skill. It's an area of effect healing ability. The degree of healing can be controlled by the soul master. As long as there's an endless supply of soul power, it can continue to heal. As long as the nine-hearted begonia is around, it'll be difficult for teammates to die even if they want to." When Ning Rongrong said this, everyone subconsciously looked at Lin Feng. There was no other reason. Why did this nine-hearted begonia's soul skill feel exactly the same as Lin Feng's first soul skill? Furthermore, Lin Feng's first soul skill wasn't just a simple healing skill. It could also detoxify and even dispel all sorts of negative effects. The power of the soul skill also changed according to his mood. According to this explanation, Lin Feng's first soul skill should be able to crush the nine-hearted begonia. "Why are you looking at me? Don't you guys need to eat?" Lin Feng's hands were fixed in the air as he held his bowl of rice. "Feng Go, your martial soul is a flower. I heard from my father that the nine-hearted begonia is also a flower. Your first soul skill is so similar. Did your immeasurable flower mutate from the nine-hearted begonia?" Ning Rongrong asked curiously. "Don't talk nonsense," Lin Feng said seriously. "Your nine-hearted begonia martial soul is so weak, how can it be compared to my immeasurable flower?" Ning Rongrong was speechless. Then, Ning Rongrong said, "Feng Go, you are also a member of our team. You go up later, I will rest well." "Yes, Feng Go, once you go up, Black Tiger Ah Fu will appear. Who can stop your tornado that destroys the Great Soul Arena?" Ma Hongjun said excitedly. After everyone heard the name tornado that destroys the Great Soul Arena, they all had a strange look on their faces. Because just a few days ago in a battle, Lin Feng had used this move. It was a move that truly destroyed the Great Soul Arena. The Great Soul Arena was full of cracks and so on. The audience, host, and opponents of that battle were all stunned. "How can I go up?" Lin Feng said righteously, "I am half a teacher to you. Have you ever seen a teacher help students in a competition?" With that said, Lin Feng gave Ning Rongrong and Ma Hongjun each a knock on the head. Don't have this kind of idea in the future. Becoming stronger depends on yourself, not others. Hearing this, Xiao Wu, who was about to speak, shrank her neck. Fortunately, she didn't speak, otherwise she would have been hit like this. The master on the side laughed and said, Xiao Feng is right, becoming stronger depends on yourself. Although this Imperial battle team is powerful, you Shrek's 7 monsters are not weak either. That 9-hearted begonia is a variable, but I estimate that you still have at least a 50% chance of winning. Hearing this, everyone's heart calmed down a lot. In fact, everyone didn't shrink back too much. It would be best if Lin Feng could go up last time. Even if he couldn't, they weren't too afraid. We can win. We will definitely win. We must win. Shrek's 7 monsters. Invincible. The 7 of them cheered each other on, full of momentum. If it weren't for the fact that they were in a private room with excellent sound insulation, this scene would have attracted a crowd. Very good, it's good to have confidence. As a reward, I will restore you to your best condition. With that said, Lin Feng waved his hand. Life energy overflowed the entire private room, and everyone quickly recovered to their best condition. After all, they had exhausted a lot of soul power and stamina in the morning, and there was still a team soul battle in the afternoon. They originally needed to spend 1 or 2 hours to recover, but now that Lin Feng was here, they recovered in 1 or 2 breaths. Just like this, the master and everyone analyzed the Imperial battle team's situation together, while Lin Feng was multitasking. His main body was eating and playing with the cat, while the rest of his doppelgangers were in the soul dueling arena. Speaking of which, Xiao Ying was also quite bored. In this month, he had been accompanying Lin Feng, and at most, strolling around Soto City on his own. Perhaps it was because he hadn't returned to the forest for a long time, but he was a little listless. If it weren't for Lin Feng's teasing, he would usually lie in one place, motionless. In this regard, Lin Feng didn't have time to care too much. Recently, he had been crazily practicing his multitasking ability, and when he was tired, he would sleep. He really couldn't accompany him, so he could only leave him to Xiao Wu. Soto's main soul dueling arena was not much bigger than the other soul dueling arenas. On the contrary, its area was only slightly bigger than the other soul dueling arenas. However, unlike the other soul dueling arenas, there was no grandstand to accommodate the audience, but instead, there were sealed private rooms. The private rooms and the soul dueling arena were separated by a one-way crystal glass. Behind these glasses, there were hidden VIPs with deep backgrounds. These people disdained to cheer for the soul masters. They generally only cared about the results of the competition and the number of gold coins they could win. In the main soul dueling arena, there were hundreds of VIP rooms, and they were divided into high-class and ordinary ones. At this time, in an ordinary VIP room, Lin Feng, the master, Flanders, and Zhao Wuji walked in. Of course, there was a pure black kitten standing on Lin Feng's shoulder. Its lively big eyes looked around, and it looked very cute. The match between Shrek's 7 monsters and the Imperial battle team was about to begin. Compared to the slightly nervous master and the other 2, Lin Feng didn't panic at all. He casually sat on the sofa eating popcorn and prepared to watch the show. Chapter 153. The audience in the main arena was completely different from those in the subsidiary arenas. The host was a beautiful girl in a white dress called Do-Do. Her appearance and figure were all very good. Under the gorgeous lights of the main arena, everything looked so beautiful. Before the competition began, Do-Do first introduced the situation of Shrek's 7 monsters and the Imperial battle team to everyone, then announced the contestants to enter the arena. At this moment, a pair of glowing wings appeared on Do-Do's back and took her to the sky. Yes, Do-Do was also a soul master. She was a soul elder and her martial soul was a white dove. It was a bird martial soul. For a martial soul like this, it was easy to obtain a flying soul skill. This was very advantageous for low-level soul masters. Just as Do flew up, 2 doors on both sides of the soul dueling arena opened at the same time. The 7 members of the Imperial Battle Team and Tang San walked out at the same time and stood on both sides of the soul dueling arena. At this time, the soul dueling arena had not yet begun, but the momentum of the 2 sides was already at its peak. You have 1 minute to summon your martial souls. When I announce the start of the soul dueling arena, you can attack until the other side admits defeat, falls, or falls off the soul dueling arena. The rules of the main arena were different. There was a special time for martial souls to possess the body. At this time, Flanders was surprised. Old Zhao, look at who that is! Oh, it's Qin Brat. Is he the one leading the Imperial Battle Team? Then it's okay. Zhao Wuji looked at the opposite side with a happy expression. The master on the side was puzzled. Qin Brat? You know the leader of the Imperial Battle Team? Zhao Wuji introduced cheerfully. That kid is called Qin Ming. He's a student of our Shrek Academy. I didn't expect to meet him here, and he's the leader of the Imperial Battle Team. Flanders added, this guy is 34 years old this year. With his talent, I think he's about to break through to the Soul Emperor realm. A 34-year-old Soul Emperor? The master was slightly surprised. He had estimated that Tang San and the others would have a chance to reach the titled rank before the age of 50, Dolu. However, that was only an estimate. Furthermore, that was under the premise that they had completely grasped Lin Feng's method of controlling soul power. But now, a 34-year-old Soul Emperor was right in front of him. He was just too much of a genius. This Qin Ming had a very high chance of becoming a Soul Doluo before the age of 50. In the future, he would even have a high chance of becoming a titled Dolu. That's right, Master. He's a student of our academy, Flanders said proudly. Zhao Wuji was also very proud. Qin Ming had a great chance of becoming a titled battle pet warrior in the future. It would be strange if they weren't proud. After the master recovered from his shock, he said indifferently, although that Qin Ming's talent is astonishing, he is still far from being comparable to Xiao San and the rest. At this moment, the master was like a parent of a classmate, picking out the best parts of his child to talk about. What are you so proud of? The corner of Flanders's mouth curled up. Xiao San and the rest are also students of our Shrek Academy. In the future, when they go out, others will know that they are from our Shrek Academy. Master. Lin Feng watched from the side and felt that this scene was quite interesting. At this time, the battle in the Soul Arena was about to officially begin. Both sides released their martial souls, and their soul power fluctuations enveloped the entire arena. Under this power, even Do had to fly higher. Among the 14 people, the most domineering martial soul possession was the captain of the Royal Battle Team, Yu Tianheng. A soul master with the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon martial soul, starting from rank 30, every time he obtained a soul ring and possessed his martial soul, a part of his body would directly transform into a dragon. At this moment, Yu Tianheng's right hand had directly transformed into a dragon claw, looking very ferocious. With just a glance, one could tell that the explosive muscles contained a huge amount of power. Boss Dai, we'll follow the tactics later. You'll attract the firepower at the front, and I'll cooperate with you to attack. Fatty, you'll harass the opponent and create an opportunity for Xiao Wu to cut in. Xiao Ao, you'll fly into the sky and be ready to supply us at any time. Rongrong, follow behind me to prevent a sneak attack. Takechi, you and Xiao Wu have the most important task. Xiao Wu is to cut into the opponent's back row and attack the 9-hearted Begonia Soul Master, while Takechi is to ensure that Xiao Wu can attack the opponent's support-type Soul Master when she enters the back row. This tactic was roughly like this, and the specific situation would change according to the situation. In fact, originally, The work of cutting the opponent's support-type Soul Master was done by the agility-type Soul Master, but Xiao Wu had teleportation, so she could appear more unexpected. After Tang San repeated the tactic again, Dodo in the sky also shouted, "Next, I announce, Soul Fighting, begin!" The moment his voice fell, Dai Mubai directly activated his first, second, and third soul skills. Lin Feng once said that the so-called battle didn't mean that the longer one persisted the better, but the faster the better. Rather than wasting soul power to fight steadily, it was better to go all out from the start and use tyrannical strength to meet the opponent head-on. In this way, in a situation where the difference in strength between the two sides wasn't large, two situations would occur. First, the opponent's reaction was slow, and they simply couldn't react to such a fierce firepower, or only a small number of people could react. In this way, the opponent would either be defeated directly, or be quickly defeated in the next few seconds. Second, the opponent all reacted, but lost the initiative, so the battle was suppressed. Clearly, the Imperial battle team belonged to the second possibility. They all reacted quickly and responded quickly. After all, their leader was Qin Ming, an extremely special teacher in Heaven Do Academy. In addition to his own strength, he was also one of the best in teaching students. Normally, he was extremely strict with his students. It was because of this that he created the Imperial Battle Team, an extremely strong team of Soul Elders. However, Shrek's 7 monsters were even more outstanding. Not only did they have the guidance of a Soul Master, but Lin Feng also had some experience, which could always lead them to death in battle. Battle relied on the brain. This philosophy was deeply ingrained in the hearts of almost everyone. The Imperial Battle Team reacted quickly, but Tang San's group reacted even faster. They quickly made a follow-up decision and took advantage of the situation, causing the Imperial Battle Team to be flustered. How should I put it? Let's use an analogy. The Imperial Battle Team was like a monster wreaking havoc in the Tokyo area, while Shrek's 7 monsters were like Ultraman who had just transformed. Logically speaking, shouldn't Ultraman be fighting against monsters with a moving BGM? The two sides fought back and forth, and in the end, Ultraman used a big move to defeat the monster. But now, Ultraman used a big move right from the start. Monster. Chapter 154. Fatty, hold him back! Tang San shouted. At this moment, the situation was very clear. Dai Mubai had paid the price of being injured to hold back Yu Tianheng and the 2 Shi brothers with Xuanwu tortoise martial souls. Dai Mubai's desperate fighting style and the ruthlessness in his heart forcefully held back the 3 of them. Vice-Captain Duguyen was entangled with Tang San's blue-silver grass. At the same time, Tang San was distracted by taking care of Dai Mubai. Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to hold on for long. The opponent's Winchim bird martial soul, Imperial Wind, was preparing to attack Xiao Wu from the sky. Tang San's shout was for Ma Hongjun to restrain this guy. "Alright, third brother, watch me." Ma Hongjun quickly stood in position and spat out a long flame towards Imperial Wind. Imperial Wind was in the air and didn't have any long-range attacks, so he was forced to stop. At the same time, Zhu Zhuqing was also fighting with the opponent's Black Panther Soul Master. "Haha, eat my dust!" Xiao Wu passed by everyone and rushed towards Yi Lingling, the 9-hearted Begonia Soul Master. At this moment, Duguyen, who was controlling the situation, realized that something was wrong. "We've been tricked. Everyone, retreat!" As she shouted, Duguyen's eyes suddenly emitted a green light. Her 3rd purple soul ring also blossomed with a dazzling light. In the next second, a thick green poisonous fog spread out in all directions. "Everyone, hold your breath and stay away from the poisonous fog." Tang San shouted a reminder. "Fatty, come back and prepare to cooperate with me." Everyone was already prepared for Duguyan's poison. At this moment, when they heard Tang San's reminder, they quickly responded. The key to breaking out of this situation was Xiao Wu. As long as she could beat Yi Lingling until she lost her ability to fight, everything would be fine. In the air, Oscar, who had eaten the mushroom intestines, wasn't idle. Although Tang San didn't say anything, he had already made several small sausages to detoxify the poison. At the same time, Xiao Wu was not far from Yi Lingling. The latter didn't panic at all. Ma Hongjun had already retreated because of the poisonous fog, and Imperial Wind was released to attack Xiao Wu. In the eyes of the Imperial battle team, Xiao Wu would definitely be stopped with Imperial Wind returning to defend. If Shrek's 7 monsters still wanted to attack, Zhu Zhuqing would have to go help. Taking advantage of this opportunity, Yu Feng and He Bao would instantly surround Zhu Zhuqing and get rid of her one step ahead. As for Yi Lingling, she wasn't completely defenseless. As a Soul Exalt, Xiao Wu wouldn't be able to catch her if she wanted to run. However, this was all wishful thinking on the part of the Imperial battle team. Zhu Zhuqing did not go over to help at all, and Xiao Wu did not panic when facing Yu Feng's attack in the air, when Yu Feng was only a few meters away from her. Third Soul Skill, Instant Shift. Xiao Wu instantly disappeared from where she was. At this moment, Xiao Wu was about 10 meters away from Yi Lingling, and Yi Lingling was also running behind her. No matter what, this was a relatively safe position. However, this so-called safe distance was a joke in front of Xiao Wu's instant shift. In an instant, Xiao Wu appeared beside Yi Lingling. Not good. Iso quickly returned to defend. Imperial Wind shouted and charged towards Xiao Wu again. Iso was the Soul Master whose martial soul was the Black Panther. Imperial Wind wanted to see if they could save Yi Lingling with a pincer attack. Even if they couldn't save her, they had to replace Xiao Wu. If they were to make the wrong move, they would have completely lost. Can we still make it? Xiao Wu chuckled and used her charm to easily control Yi Lingling. Then, she swung her scorpion braid behind her and easily wrapped it around Yi Lingling's neck, sending her flying. Not bad. Xiao San's strategy is good. He took care of their auxiliary-type Soul Master right from the start and threw her off the Soul dueling stage. This way, the battle will be much easier. Grandmaster sighed. If Yi Lingling was really as Ning Rongrong said, and her soul skill was healing, then it wouldn't be safe to injure or knock her out. The best way to deal with her was to throw her off the Soul dueling stage. Flanders laughed from the side. They only have one auxiliary-type Soul Master. Let the nimble Xiao Wu take care of him. This way, even if she's surrounded, she won't be afraid. Lin Feng didn't think that this strategy was brilliant. It was just a normal use of one's own characteristic. If he really wanted to customize this strategy, Xiao Wu wouldn't have to deal with Yi Lingling at all. Xiao Wu and Zhu Zhuqing could besiege the Black Panther Soul Master. As for Yi Lingling, Oscar could deal with her. She was a female auxiliary-type Soul Master with no attack power. Oscar wasn't a cripple. He just had to take her out of the Soul dueling stage and throw her off when no one was paying attention to her. Yu Feng wasn't as fast as Oscar, so he couldn't catch up. Yu Feng also didn't dare to care about Xiao Wu. One had to know that Xiao Wu's instant shift wasn't just a horizontal movement. As long as Yu Feng dared to come down, Xiao Wu would ride on him and do an 8-stage fall. It was a pity that they didn't know about Lin Feng's strategy. Of course, they didn't need to know. Tang San and the others also needed to improve. If he had to do everything himself, it would be too degrading. At this moment, the battle on the stage had entered its most intense phase. Yi Lingling was thrown out of the stage by Xiao Wu. The referee announced that she couldn't fight anymore. Yu Feng and the Black Panther also attacked Xiao Wu. Did you ask for my permission to besiege Xiao Wu? Zhu Zhuqing muttered and instantly attacked the Black Panther from behind. Iso was also feeling quite depressed. His opponent was a Soul Grandmaster, but she was able to fight him to a standstill. This was something he never would have thought would happen. If he wanted to go back and help, he'd have to be careful of Zhu Zhuqing. As for Tang San, he didn't panic at all when facing Duguyan's poison. He directly called Ma Hongjuan's flames and some small items on his body to eliminate the poison. How is this possible? You actually broke my jade phosphorus purple poison. Duguyan was in disbelief. Not only her, but the members of the Imperial Dipper battle team were also shocked. They all knew how powerful this poison was. Even the powerful Soul Battle Exalts didn't dare to touch it too much. For a Soul Grandmaster like Zhu Zhuqing, the effects were even more fatal. Even the tiniest bit would cause her to die within half an hour. This soul skill could be said to be forbidden in the Great Soul Arena. This was because its lethality was too strong and had a very high chance of death. In fact, before the battle, the leader of the Imperial Dipper battle team, Qin Ming, had told her not to use her third soul skill. However, when Yu Tianheng and the Shi brothers were entangled, Yi Lingling wasn't prepared at all. She only used it in a moment of desperation. She didn't expect it to be so easily dispelled in the end. Chapter 155. Nothing is impossible. If it was the Jade Phosphorus 5 poisons, I might not be able to deal with it. But the Jade Phosphorus snake venom is just a small trick, Tang San said indifferently. In the VIP room, Lin Feng smiled and sighed. This Xiao San really knows how to stall for time. Generally speaking, a battle required one to be completely focused. If one could make a move, one should try not to talk too much. Lin Feng hated people who liked to talk too much in the middle of a battle. However, Xiao San's words were very beautiful. His goal was to restrain Duguyan, a control-type soul master, so that she wouldn't be able to make a move for a short period of time. Taking advantage of this time, Tang San's blue-silver grass flew out. Not only did he pull Xiao Wu back, but he also cooperated with Dai Mubai to suppress Yu Tianheng's team. At this moment, Tang San shouted, "Boss Dai and Ma Hongjun, restrain Yu Tianheng's team. I'll deal with Duguyan. The rest of you, take care of Yu Feng and Eslo." Oscar flew down from the sky and handed over the sausages he had made. Behind everyone, Ning Rongrong looked unhappy. She missed the time when Lin Feng was on the stage. With Lin Feng's strengthening soul skill, Ning Rongrong was no longer an ordinary support-type soul master. At that moment, she was a powerful Wonder Woman. Unfortunately, Lin Feng wasn't here. Ning Rongrong could only watch the show and make sure she didn't get hit by her opponents. Very good. Shrek's 7 monsters are very good. I didn't think I'd underestimate you. But it's time to stop. At this moment, Yu Tianheng, the captain of the Imperial Dipper battle team, suddenly activated his third soul skill. Third soul skill, Thunder's Fury. When the Imperial Dipper battle team was discussing their strategy, they didn't take Shrek's 7 monsters seriously. After all, the gap between the two teams was too large. Furthermore, they had Tang San, a blue-silver grass soul master. They felt that this match would be incomparably easy. However, it hadn't been long before their auxiliary-type soul master, Yi Lingling, had been defeated by their opponent's exquisite tactics. Earlier, Yu Tianheng had wanted to fight a protracted battle, so he wanted to conserve his soul power. Furthermore, he felt that the devilish White Tiger's decision to use its third soul skill at the beginning of the battle was extremely foolish. Now it seemed that they were the foolish ones. Yu Tianheng felt that he had lost all his face. He had to get back his face. At this moment, he suddenly activated his third soul skill, and his entire body went berserk. The power of lightning around his body was boundless, and every attack was much stronger than before. As Dai Mubai and Yu Tianheng fought, Dai Mubai was actually suppressed by Yu Tianheng because he had used up a lot of his soul power. However, he wasn't suppressed by much because of Ning Rongrong's soul skills. However, the Shi brothers were able to free up their hands and attack Tang San together. Duguyan also reacted and ran over to help Yu Tianheng. She wanted to cripple the strongest, Dai Mu Bai. In response, Tang San didn't panic. He activated his third soul skill, and his blue-silver grass transformed into two large pythons. They quickly crawled from the ground and coiled around the Sher brothers' bodies. These two soul masters with the Xuanwu turtle martial soul were weak. At this moment, they were trapped by Tang San. Without outside help, they wouldn't be able to escape. At this moment, it just so happened that everyone in the Imperial Do battle team had their own task. They wouldn't be able to escape in a short period of time. Tang San's timing was just right. At the same time, Xiao Wu, who had eaten the mushroom sausage, flew into the air. "Hey! That birdman over there, quickly die!" With a playful shout, Xiao Wu flew towards Yufeng. Yufeng didn't panic at all when he saw this. He continued to attack Zhu Zhuqing with the Black Panther. Rising winds and surging clouds. Yufeng's third soul skill lit up, and his wings flapped fiercely. In the next second, a huge gust of wind swept towards Zhu Zhuqing like a wild dragon. The soul dueling stage was extremely smooth, and Zhu Zhuqing's body was clear. She didn't have any other soul skills to resist the wind. Coupled with the Black Panther's fierce attack, Zhu Zhuqing's slender figure was blown out of the soul dueling stage. At this moment, Xiao Wu was too far away from Zhu Zhuqing. No matter how fast she was, she couldn't prevent Zhu Zhuqing from being flung away. Furthermore, because she was fighting the Black Panther, Oscar didn't have time to pass the sausage to her. At this moment, Zhu Zhuqing was in a hopeless situation. Her fate of being flung out of the soul dueling stage was unavoidable. However, at this moment, a white figure flew out from the side. At this critical moment, she grabbed Zhu Zhuqing and brought her back to the stage. That's right. That white figure was Ning Rongrong. Before Oscar flew into the air, he gave Ning Rongrong 3 different sausages. Just now, Ning Rongrong felt that something might happen to Zhu Zhuqing. That sixth sense made her eat a mushroom sausage and rush over. At the last moment, she rescued Zhu Zhuqing from the air. This was something that the Imperial Do battle team didn't expect. An auxiliary-type soul master dared to come out instead of hiding at the back. Wasn't she courting death? However, they didn't have time to think about it. At this moment, Xiao Wu had already teleported above Yu Feng's head. Eat this old lady's 8 falls in the air. In the next second, Xiao Wu's familiar jiu-jitsu combo appeared on the stage. Bang! 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 For a time, Yu Feng's shrill screams resounded throughout the entire soul dueling arena. And most importantly, the normal battle continued in the air, as if there was an invisible wall of air in the air. Yu Feng was thrown into chaos by Xiao Wu in the air. This scene was very strange to everyone, but it really happened. What a joke! This was a unique skill that Xiao Wu practiced hard for a week after listening to Lin Feng's advice. It could be considered an extreme embodiment of jiu-jitsu. Coupled with the control of soul power, this scene of people being smashed in the air continuously appeared. Xiao Wu had never used this skill before. The main reason was that she had never encountered an opponent who could fly. Now that she encountered it, Yu Feng was the first victim. Xiao Wu's control of soul power is too strong. The master sighed slightly. He didn't expect this scene to happen at all. In the arena, the battle was constantly changing. Taking advantage of the Imperial Do battle team's shock, Zhu Zhuqing was carried by Ning Rongrong to attack the Black Panther Soul Master. Second soul skill, Netherworld 100 Claws. This pounce was extremely fast. The Black Panther Soul Master reacted and wanted to fight back, but everything was too late. Countless claws weaved into a terrifying net of sharp blades. The Black Panther Soul Master didn't have any defensive soul skills at all and was easily defeated by this move. On the other side, Xiao Wu also swung fiercely, smashing Yu Feng to the ground like a dead fish. Flop, flop. After twitching a few times, Yu Feng lay on the ground motionless. Damn it! Du Guyen cursed. The current situation made her feel very bad. Chapter 156. In just half a minute, 2 members of the Imperial Dipper battle team had lost their ability to fight. Their only support-type Soul Master was thrown out of the arena, and their 2 meat shields were trapped in the middle of the arena. Was the Imperial Dipper battle team weak? Of course not. It was just that Shrek Academy was too strong. From the very beginning, their strategy was the best choice. In the end, it was because they had underestimated their opponent. Even if they had reacted, they hadn't gone all out. It was because of this carelessness that they had taken one wrong step after another. It was just like the fight between Master Luo and Master Yi. If not for the table being too slippery, how could he have lost? Tianheng, cut that cage apart or we will completely lose. Duguyen quickly reacted. Even though there were only 4 of them left, they had expended much less soul power than Shrek's side. This was especially true for the 2 Shi brothers, who had barely expended any soul power at all. In this situation, the 4 of them had a chance of winning if they worked together. They couldn't just throw in the towel. If they did, the Imperial Dipper battle team would lose their last shred of face. Coming! Yu Tianheng's soul power exploded. Dai Mubai was pushed back several steps, and Ma Hongjun was even more frightened. Ma Hongjun was really weak. He couldn't fight in close combat, and he could only harass from a distance. He would probably only change after he became a Soul Elder. In any case, he couldn't be counted on right now. After breaking free from Dai Mubai, Yu Tianheng dashed toward the Shi brothers. However, Tang San didn't give him a chance. Blue-silver grass shot out and wrapped around Yu Tianheng. Don't even think about trapping me with your puny blue-silver grass. Lightning crackled around Yu Tianheng's dragon claws as he clawed at the grass. In his opinion, a trash martial soul like blue-silver grass couldn't compare to his blue lightning tyrant dragon. It was like comparing the moon to a firefly. However, when his claw reached down, it actually got stuck. That's right. His dragon claw was stuck in the middle of the thick blue-silver grass. While he was in a daze, the blue-silver grass had already wrapped around his claw, trapping him just like the Shi brothers. Duguyen was speechless. How is this possible? A martial soul like blue-silver grass was actually able to block my attack. Yu Tianheng, who was unable to move, exclaimed in shock. Yu Tianheng was able to easily break free of a control-type Soul Elder's attacks, and he could even break free of a stronger Soul Elder's attacks with his soul skills. It was reasonable to say that blue-silver grass should belong to the ordinary tier. But just now, when he activated his 3rd soul skill, he was only able to cut through half of it. The toughness of this blue-silver grass simply exceeded his imagination. Nothing is impossible. Tang San smiled. The toughness of his blue-silver grass had already exceeded his imagination after the soul rings had mutated. Unless it was an assault-type soul ancestor, it would be very difficult to shatter it. In fact, if Tang San went all out with his 8 spider spear and hidden weapons, he would be able to defeat the Imperial battle team by himself. However, he did not explain too much. Instead, he led everyone towards Duguyen. What's wrong? Do you still want to fight all 7 of us alone? We admit defeat. Duguyen was silent for a while before speaking. Underestimating the enemy and Shrek's 7 monsters' efficient tactics, their Imperial battle team's defeat was not unjust. Yu Tianheng also stopped his meaningless struggle. His body was tightly bound, and his blue-silver grass was still poisonous. His body was getting weaker and weaker. At this point, their Imperial battle team no longer had any hope of turning the tables. 1 minute and 8 seconds. Dodo's excited shout rang out. Shrek's 7 monsters only spent 1 minute and 8 seconds to defeat their opponents in the main Soul Dueling Arena, setting a new record. The Great Soul Dueling Arena will forever record this moment. Shrek's 7 monsters' battle speed had always been very fast. In the main Soul Dueling Arena, they had set a record of 30 seconds to defeat their opponents. However, this was Soto's Great Soul Arena. Those who could fight here were no weaklings. To be able to defeat his opponent in just a minute, it really shocked everyone. Yeah, we won. Ning Rongrong cheered, but she did not get too carried away. Tang San, on the other hand, was very calm from beginning to end. First, he released the trapped people. Then, like a tentacle monster, his blue-silver grass spread out and sent Yu Feng and the Black Panther Soul Master to Duguyan's side. As for Yi Lingling, she had already run up to the soul dueling arena. I've already removed the poison from their bodies. As for their injuries, I believe this 9-hearted Begonia Soul Master will be able to recover. Tang San's tone was very calm. He did not rejoice at defeating his opponents, nor did he mock them. This gave the Imperial battle team a very good impression. Yu Tianheng looked deeply at Dai Mubai. We lost this time. We lost because of our arrogance. You are very strong. If we have another chance to fight, don't think you can defeat us so easily. Dai Mubai smiled. I'll be waiting, but I want to say that we will still be the victors. Duguyan said, You're very strong to be able to neutralize my poison. But next time, I'll make you fall to my snake poison. I'll be waiting. A faint smile appeared on Tang San's face, just like how a great demon king looked at an arrogant adventurer who had just come out of hiding. At this time, Yi Lingling was almost done healing the Imperial battle team. Yu Feng's injuries were a little serious, so he needed someone to support him. Yi Lingling could only continue healing him after her soul power recovered. Even so, the effects of her healing shocked Tang San and the others. If they had not cared about Yi Lingling at the beginning, the difficulty of the battle would have doubled. Let's go. Yu Tianheng didn't say anything and led everyone out of the soul dueling arena. After they left, Tang San and the others chatted and laughed as they walked to the other side. At the entrance, the Grandmaster and the others were already waiting. Lin Feng was hugging Xiao Ying and looking at them with a smile. Meow, Xiao Ying called out and jumped into Xiao Wu's arms with a satisfied expression. As for the others, they shared their joy with the Grandmaster and the others. Grandmaster, if we continue to win this match, our team points will be enough to be promoted to the Golden Soul Battle Team. Our individual badges will also be promoted to the Silver Soul Battle Team. Let's take a break, Ma Hongjun said with a smile. Although they had been sniped by Lin Feng, their previous winning streak had already allowed them to be promoted to the Silver Soul Battle Team. Therefore, the second stage of training set by the Grandmaster was completed. Moreover, it was more than enough. Of course there will be a break. Half a month. The Grandmaster was already prepared. After half a month, you will begin the third stage of training. Chapter 157. There's still the third stage of training. Ma Hongjuan's smiling face collapsed as he wailed. Not only him, but other than Tang San, everyone else also looked uncomfortable. The master's devilish training was really tiring, and it was best to avoid it if possible. What? Do you have any objections? The master said indifferently. Hearing this tone, everyone instantly recalled the fear of being dominated by the training and shook their head. No objections. Just as everyone had bitter expressions, a figure quickly walked over. Dean Flanders, how are you? Disciple Qin Ming is here to pay his respects. This person was Qin Ming. He took a few steps to Flanders and knelt down on one knee. He had a look of excitement on his face. I thought you had forgotten about us. Flanders laughed and helped him up. Zhao Wuji also laughed and said, Good fellow, it's just as old Ghost Fu thought. You're already a Soul Emperor. It won't be long before you can catch up to us old fellows. Soul Emperor? Tang San and the others opened their mouths in shock. Such a young Soul Emperor really shocked them. Furthermore, he seemed to be very familiar with Dean Flanders and the others. Was he also a teacher of the academy? Everyone was instantly curious. Qin Ming said respectfully, The two deans are also very powerful. It won't be long before you become a Soul Doluo. No matter what, Qin Ming will always be a disciple of the Shrek Academy. Hearing this, Tang San and the others reacted. It turned out that Qin Ming was also a student of the Shrek Academy like them. Such a young Soul Emperor was really powerful. Flanders chuckled and patted Qin Ming's shoulder. You've left the academy for so long, no need to be restrained. Come, let me introduce you to each other. This is Qin Ming. I'm sure you're all very curious about his identity. He's the same as all of you. He was once a student of Shrek Academy, and he was the first batch of graduates from the most outstanding academy. Under everyone's astonished gazes, Flanders introduced Qin Ming. This is the master, and the 7 of them are Shrek's 7 monsters. They are also your juniors. As for this one, when he mentioned Lin Feng, Flanders paused for a moment, but he quickly smiled and said, "His name is Lin Feng. He can be considered the most talented student in the history of Shrek Academy." Hearing this name, Qin Ming immediately became curious. The most talented student? How talented was he? Also, he didn't seem to be among the 7 people fighting just now. However, they were all wearing masks now, so Qin Ming couldn't see their faces for a while. However, the most important thing was still the master. Very soon, Qin Ming bowed slightly to the master. "Greetings, master." After that, he smiled and said, "Grandmaster, I presume you're the one behind Shrek's 7 monsters strategy." I didn't expect that such a genius would appear in Shrek Academy. This is really beyond my expectations. It seems that our Shrek Academy is developing much better than before. Shrek Academy. In the past, it was very poor, so poor that it couldn't even afford to eat. However, looking at the current situation, it seemed to have recovered a lot. To have such a genius come to learn, he was simply a monster among monsters. After all, the person who could come up with such a tactic must have rich combat experience. It's not much better. These children should be the last batch of students in the academy. After graduation, we will no longer recruit people. Zhao Wuji sighed. Ah? Hasn't the academy's financial problem been solved yet? Qin Ming asked subconsciously. But soon, he realized that he had said something wrong and was slightly embarrassed. Tang San and the others were also surprised. "Dean, we still have a lot of money on us. If the Academy's funds are not enough, we can sponsor it." Funds are only one aspect of the problem, but it's actually not the main reason. You won this match, and the Great Soul Arena gave you 10,000 gold coins. Flanders sighed. The main reason is that we are old and tired. Now we don't have the impulse from back then. After Xiao San and the other children graduate, we can also live the life we want. If the academy really wanted to continue, it was still possible. After all, it had been holding on for so many years. Every time they said that they couldn't hold on, didn't they still hold on in the end? The main reason was still themselves. They were old and should retire. Chapter 158. Flanders sighed. Qin Ming, the Imperial Do battle team's kids aren't bad. You've taught them well. Every single one of them is an elite. Flanders clearly didn't want to talk about that topic any longer. He changed the subject and no one brought it up again. Qin Ming laughed bitterly. It's not because I taught them well. Those kids are naturally talented and have undergone special training from our academy. That's why they're so strong. But even so, they can't compare to my juniors. So you're saying that you're now a teacher in a school? Flender looked at him with some surprise. He thought the Imperial Do battle team was specially trained by Qin Ming. After all, there were many Soul Masters who specialized in leading teams in the Soul dueling arena. For example, Qin Ming was like the boss of an esports club in his previous life, and the Imperial Do battle team was a team under that club. Qin Ming nodded. I'm currently a teacher in Heaven Do Imperial Academy. The 7 members of the Imperial Do Battle Team are the most outstanding students in the Academy. I came here to train them and take a look at Shrek Academy. I didn't expect my juniors to give me such a big gift so soon. Flanders chuckled. This isn't the place to talk. Since the soul dueling arena is over, let's go to the hotel to celebrate. We haven't seen each other in so many years. Of course they should celebrate, but before that, Grandmaster Qin Ming had to bring everyone to Shrek's 7 monsters to tally up their points. Just like that, Flanders, Zhao Wuji, and Qin Ming left the soul dueling arena while Grandmaster Qin Ming brought everyone else to tally up their points. While Qin Ming and Flanders were chatting, Tang San and the others were whispering about Heaven Do Imperial Academy. Now that Qin Ming had left, they immediately let loose and started discussing. All of them were very excited. So that's the Heaven Do Imperial Academy's elite team. They only lasted a minute against us. So we're already this strong? Ha 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 ha. Ma Hongjun laughed heartily. He was very pleased with himself. Bang. There was no need for Lin Feng to make a move. Dai Mubai knocked Ma Hongjun's laughter to a halt. What's there to be proud of? Didn't you see that the Imperial Battle Team lost because of their pride? Do you want to follow in his footsteps? Of course not. I'm just happy. Ma Hongjun chuckled. Soon, everyone arrived at the Soul Dueling Hall. Thanks to Manager Ao's enthusiasm, Shrek's 7 monsters points were quickly calculated. 10,000 gold coins and 3,500 gold coins as an appearance fee were nothing compared to the Gold Warrior Soul Party badge. Iron, copper, silver, gold, purple gold, sapphire, ruby, and diamond. There were 8 levels in total. This was the 4th level of the badge. Generally speaking, it was rare for a Soul Master to win so many matches in a row. This was especially true for low-level Soul Masters. The Genius Academy's Lin Feng you mentioned, what's his soul power rank? Qin Ming asked curiously. Previously, he only got information about Shrek's 7 monsters. As for Lin Feng, he didn't know, so he was very curious at this time. Rank 33, Lin Feng said calmly. Zhao Wuji added. Not long after entering the school, Xiao Feng, Xiao San, Xiao Wu, and Xiao Ao broke through rank 30 at almost the same time. Your previous rank 30 record was broken by them. They're only about 13 years old now, and Xiao Wu isn't even 13 yet. Lin Feng was the oldest among the new students. He turned 13 years old not long after entering the school. During the later training, Tang San was also 13 years old. Xiao Wu and the others weren't, but they would be soon. This is really too shocking. Qin Ming didn't know what to say about a 12-year-old soul elder. Just when he thought that was all, Ning Rongrong laughed and said, Soul power ranks don't mean much to Fenggu. The main thing is his strength. He knocked over a trash soul king with one punch. You have to know that Fenggu is only an auxiliary type soul master. Qin Ming. What kind of monsters are these? Since when are soul kings considered trash? Also, can a soul elder who can knock over a soul king with one punch be called an auxiliary type soul master? That's clearly called a monster. Chapter 159. Actually, this information couldn't be said carelessly. However, Qin Ming wasn't an outsider and Flanders didn't hide many things from him, so Ning Rongrong revealed it to him. The consequence of this was that Qin Ming had to spend a full minute to recover from his shock. Knocking over a soul king with one punch? An auxiliary type soul master? Are you serious? Qin Ming swallowed his saliva. Lin Feng laughed. Of course not. I'm a healing type soul master and that soul king was very weak. Knocking him over with one punch is nothing. If you give me a weak soul emperor right now, I can knock him over with one punch too. Qin Ming. The shock of a second strike left Qin Ming speechless for a long time. Perhaps the soul emperors in the eyes of geniuses were different from the soul emperors in his eyes. knocking over a weak Soul Emperor with one punch? How weak was this Soul Emperor? Was he considered weak? Qin Ming suddenly felt that he had been dealt a blow. He shouldn't have asked that question earlier. To one side, Xiao Wu smiled and said, "Senior Qin Ming, the weak soul emperors that Brother Feng is talking about are the ones with 10-year soul rings and 10,000-year soul rings." Qin Ming. Actually, Xiao Wu was right. This soul emperor was quite weak, and Qin Ming could easily beat him up. However, when these words came out of the mouth of a 13-year-old junior, it felt strange. According to Lin Feng's words, Qin Ming felt as if he had suddenly seen a primary school student publish a genetic thesis or a primary school student do scientific research. It felt very unreal. Perhaps afraid that Qin Ming would be too shocked, Flanders hurriedly changed the topic. Just like that, they chatted and chatted until the topic of Heaven Do Imperial Academy came up. Qin Ming said, "Heaven Do Imperial Academy has many drawbacks. They say that they recruit students from all over the Heaven Do Empire, but it's actually just an academy for nobles. There are all kinds of students in there and the various systems are just for nobles. But comparatively speaking, the various facilities, resources and so on in the academy are all top-notch. They are extremely useful for the cultivation of soul masters. I was thinking, how good would it be if I let you bunch of hard-working children enter the academy?" On the side, Flanders laughed and scolded, "You brat, this is my last batch and you actually want to poach them? The Shrek Academy doesn't welcome you." "Don't, how could I? Why would I poach the dean's student? I was just making an example," Qin Ming said. At this moment, the master suddenly walked in. "I think the children can follow you to the Heaven Do Imperial Academy." The first thing the master said when he entered the door attracted everyone's attention. Flanders was even more furious. "Xiao Gang, we're not old yet. I won't retire until I've finished teaching this last batch of students. If worse comes to worst, I'll just stake my old bones and teach them well." "Why are you so excited?" The master calmly said, "I'm not asking Xiao San and the others to join the Heaven Do Imperial Academy. My intentions are simple. The two academies will have an exchange, and we'll go to the Heaven Do Imperial Academy to study and cultivate. Furthermore, what's the point of teaching them well? There are many things that our academy can't give them." Flanders fell silent when he heard this. Zhao Wuji didn't understand the situation. "What can't we give them? Didn't we earn 10,000 gold coins before? Isn't that enough training?" The group of students didn't understand what was going on, but Qin Ming and Lin Feng had already figured it out. Strictly speaking, the Shrek Academy couldn't be considered a Soul Master Academy. There were many things that they didn't have, and their foundation was too weak. Under these circumstances, Flanders couldn't even register in any of the empires or kingdoms. Speaking of which, the Shrek Academy was the equivalent of a wild chicken university in his previous world. It didn't even have a license. In fact, there weren't any official records of this academy in the empires or kingdoms. Back then, the Tsanghui Academy's reaction was very normal. After all, the Shrek Academy only had a little bit of fame in the vicinity. AI. The master sighed. "Some things can't be solved with just training. If our academy can provide two things, Xiao San and the others won't need to go to Heaven Do. First, a simulated cultivation environment. Second, the qualifications to participate in the Continental Elite Academy tournament a year from now. Can you provide these things?" Flanders continued to remain silent. He couldn't provide any of the things the master said. Furthermore, he knew that these things were very beneficial to Tang San and the others. With the support of a powerful academy, they could all break through to the titled Dolua before the age of 50. If Flanders stopped them now, he would be destroying their futures. However, he also knew that the so-called exchange students were just putting it nicely. In reality, they would be joining Heaven Do Academy. If they wanted to participate in the Continental Elite Academy tournament, they wouldn't be representing Shrek Academy, but Heaven Do Imperial Academy. But Flanders still had a trace of stubbornness. No buts. Besides, I haven't finished speaking. The master continued. The children can join Heaven Do Imperial Academy. In the final competition, they can also win glory for Heaven Do Imperial Academy. However, they must be taught by us personally. Furthermore, Heaven Do Imperial Academy cannot interfere. Furthermore, when we want to leave after the competition, Heaven Do Imperial Academy cannot stop us. The master's requirements were very strict. If it were an ordinary person, they wouldn't even agree.